Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, we're in the refit Robservatory. That this is the last day. It's going to be just refitting. We're going to launch right out of the everything. It's taken a while. I don't have my regular computer. It's still down, but soon we will be back the way we're supposed to be back. But anyway, this is Let's Get Physical Media. And coming at you all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland is your favorite German, my favorite German, everyone's favorite German. And Sebastian the dog is here too, right? Look at this. Hi, Sebastian.
Our favorite new dog.
Are you a fan? Are you a fan of Dieter Bastian? Well,
he's the
here
only
he is.
dog
Dieter.
I never heard barking, Rob. I never heard.
Sebastian does not bark. Sebastian is monumentally polite. But Dieter,
yeah,
how are you, sir?
Rob, before we get to that, let me say greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here. Here I am, rock you like Hurricane, and welcome to the B&B Motel for Let's Get Physical Media, where we show our love for physical media.
You know what episode this is, don't you?
Yeah, 69, dude.
69, dude. Yeah, Gilbert's barking. He knows what's up. If I was thinking of a number, what number would I be thinking of? 69, dude. Yeah.
But Rob, I'm sorry to say that, considering our online friendship will never, ever reach the bromance level of RRR, Rise, Revolt, Roar, which I have watched this week. Finally.
Now, where'd you get? Is that a steelbook?
No, this is just a Kindle, Rob, just to see to show a cover, for the movie. The bromance movie of the year, Rob.
Dude, the RRR is on Netflix here.
Yeah. And I watched it on Netflix. And
is it your new favorite movie of all time?
No, not particularly, Rob. Like I said to you, considering the Bollywood movies, there's always, for me, where some trepidation considering the movies. They're always very long. They feature a dance sequence, no matter the story. This is it's not Bollywood, it's Tollywood. Is that what RRR is? I think it's from Tolly, if I want to get it right. I my ignorance of Indian cinema is showing. Me too.
I mean, I like Bollywood movies, the largest film industry in the world. I have not seen enough. I started out in film school seeing like Sahachi Ray's Apu trilogy, very Criterion-minded movie series. I like it a lot, but I've missed a lot of those romantic films, the romantic musicals. But RRR, highly recommended. I highly recommend it to anyone. Gilbert is, of course, in the background. I'm surrounded by its Doodle Mania in here. Hope they don't bark too much.
From my perspective, Rob, for me, different kind of perspective. It was an enjoyable movie, but 3 hours was really pushing it. And considering I'm always confused about the dance numbers. The dance number was actually insane. I laughed my ass off considering the dance number.
Yeah, man.
One thing that took me, unfortunately, out, Rob, which I didn't know ahead, I found out later through a YouTube review. I watched it on Netflix, and this is a Hindi dubbing of the movie.
Right. So it's not in the original language.
Yeah. So it was not the mouse movements were not synchronized.
Yeah, I know.
Different voices. That took me out. And in general, Rob, we talked a little bit before we started the show about sound. The sound didn't give the movie verisimilitude, which it didn't have anyway.
Yes.
But you had large crowds, or let's say a scene in the market. And I don't know if it was just from the dub. You could only hear almost like the dialogue between the two people, but you didn't have any feeling you were in a big marketplace. The good thing, and it started immediately with the girl with her singing number, which totally took me out of it because it didn't have verisimilitude, considering sounding real in the environment. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised about the scenes with these huge crowds. If they have done these huge crowds with CGI, I didn't detect it, Rob. I don't know if they were real or not, but these huge scenes with these huge crowds were insane, I have to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's quite quite a cinematic meal. It's quite a feat. It's a lot of fun.
It's the greatest bromance of all time, Rob.
The greatest bromance of all. I have to say, along with. Yeah. Oh, so go ahead.
Yeah, we can only reach that, Rob, if I come to your house and we do the underwater scene in your pool again. We recreate that scene. Then we could reach that bromance level of the movie.
Well, I saw a movie last night. Elizabeth and I went and saw David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. And, I thought it's a beautifully made movie. And I really enjoyed watching it. I mean, it's very formal. It is very, I don't know what you would call it. I don't know if, look, it was the script that I read 20 years ago.
Yeah. You were totally looking forward to the movie.
Really looking forward to the movie. One of my most eagerly awaited films of the year. And from a production standpoint, I loved it. Was beautifully made, beautifully shot. Howard Shore's score was amazing. And they shot it in Athens in Greece. So it gave it this sort of futuristic dystopian sheen that I loved. I thought the performances were great. Kristen Stewart's a little unhinged in it, and I really loved her performance. I loved Léa Seydoux. Don McKellar, a good Canadian kid, who I'm a big fan of Don McKellar's for years. But the film, obviously it's going to leave a lot of people cold, and it has a lot of really weird Cronenberg body horror in it. Okay. The premise is that human beings are evolving. There's spontaneous evolution syndrome happening, and people are generating these organs inside their bodies, and no one really knows why. And Léa Seydoux and Viggo Mortensen are performance artists, and they do surgery on stage because people don't feel pain anymore. So so Viggo Mortensen is this Saul Tenser. He's generating these organs, and then Léa Seydoux takes them out via surgery on stage.
Jesus.
And then tattoos these new organs, and they're like art forms. But the thing is, these organs are leading human beings to evolve into something where they will be able to more deal with our polluted environment that has lots of weird plastics and things. And Gilbert is doing something crazy here, but it was a very weird. It's a very weird movie. But you know what? I thought the problem was ultimately. I mean, I always wanted to see this. I always liked the script, but to me, the whole movie, and this is going to seem strange to say, the whole movie is so made up. It touches on really interesting ideas, and I enjoyed watching it. But it's all constructed for the movie, if that makes sense. I mean, it's so. Like when and people, this sounds so weird to say, because like in Rabid, his second feature, Marilyn Chambers is in a motorcycle accident and she has plastic surgery. Because she has plastic surgery, she gets this stinger that comes out of her armpit that she now has to drink blood through the stinger. And when she drinks blood, her victims turn rabid. Well, if that wasn't just some made up, complete Cronenbergian BS, I don't know what is. But at least you still had the ground. Like, that's the big ask of Rabid. This movie has about 10 different asks that it's set up for you. This future and this underground art scene and everything. And it was so made up. Like, all of it was made up. None of it was really tethered to the real world at all. So it was very kind of difficult to get into, if that makes any sense. Normally, I find Cronenberg's movies really compelling and really interesting. This was compelling and interesting, but it was very distancing. I felt like I was not in the movie. I felt like I was outside of the movie watching it, and I was contemplative of all of the things that it was showing me and telling me, but I wasn't involved with it, if that makes any sense. Like when
Elizabeth's take on it.
Elizabeth said, she had the best review. Elizabeth had the best review ever. She turned to me when it was over and she said, that movie was like Crash, but without the crashing. And I'm like, honey, that's the best movie review I can possibly imagine hearing. Because, I felt like,
to the point.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I was watching, like some grad art student or some grad film student, which makes sense because Cronenberg's one of his early films was called Crimes of the Future. And it was in a way very similar to this. And where it was all a construct. And I really did appreciate the fact that Cronenberg was delving into his body horror ideas again. I just felt that the movie was so distancing. I wanted to be more absorbed. I wanted to be within it. When you watch your favorite movies, you're in them. They're enveloping you. You feel like they've surrounded your subconscious or your consciousness, and they're permeating your soul. This movie felt outside, if that makes any sense. It's hard. That's all. That's the only thing I can explain.
Okay. Was the audience big crowd or just a smaller crowd?
No. When we walked in, we were the only people in the theater, and I think like 4 other people came in, and this was at 8:00 on a Saturday night.
I wasn't even aware that the movie started this week.
Well, no, it had no marketing. No one knows. I think they had to put it out for a perfunctory theatrical release. And it's, it was at the Cannes Film Festival like last week or 2 weeks ago. And then it was out in theaters. Unfortunately, it came from Neon, which is a very respectable distributor. I'm a big fan of Neon, and kudos for them, to them for putting it out. But I was kind of hoping that it might have done some more business. Because, I'm a big Cronenberg fan. And obviously this movie was never going to be for everybody, but it was never the kind of film. I could not recommend this movie unless you're a hardcore Cronenberg fan.
Okay. Only for the diehard fans. As a little summary. Going back to RRR a little, I would buy the movie if it would come out with the original dubbing, but there were really some strange stuff in it. So ridiculous, but the dance sequence was really something to behold, I have to say. So considering, like you said, the Crimes of the Future, you weren't in the movie. For me, it was the same, just from the sound experience, and I wasn't aware that it was the movie that I was watching a dub. I was sure it was done this way, but I would.
No, it's weird. You're like watching a movie that was, and I forget the language. You're watching it dubbed into Hindi.
Yeah,
it's like watching a movie Mandarin and Cantonese.
And the English speaking actors speak normal English. Ray Stevenson, so it was very confusing at times. But finally, I got around to it, and I watched a little bit of the box office from RRR, and it has grossed, unfortunately, only Rob, worldwide 100 million, and 80 are from India. So this shows me that Bollywood is not really still not traveling into international markets.
Yeah, it unfortunately. That is, it's, but one day they're going to make something that, what is traveling?
Okay.
Top Gun Maverick.
The box office, Rob. Tell us about the box office.
Gun Maverick. It is a smash. Normally even the biggest movies like the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
A dip in the second weekend, they dip like 50%.
Yeah.
60%. Yeah. If something's below 50%, that has a huge hold. That's really great.
Yeah. Good word of mouth.
Top Gun Maverick. It looks like it's only dropped, they're saying, at the international box office, 20%.
Really?
20%, yes. So Top Gun Maverick soars to 549 million global. Paramount Skydance's Top Gun Maverick, as projected yesterday, has flown past 500 million worldwide, with 548.6 million through its first 2 frames. That's 2 weekends. The offshore weekend is estimated at 81.7 million, an incredible hold of only a 20% drop to lift the international box office cum to 257 million in 64 markets. This does not include the big Tom Cruise hub, Korea, which rolls out on June 23rd, nor are China and Russia in the mix.
Oh,
the hypersonic Joseph Kosinski directed sequel is on a tear overseas, where the UK has lit up the sky with 47.8 million to date. The weekend was down just 12% from opening. Australia has grossed 23.4 million after a teeny 6% drop from the previous session. Japan slid just 26% from launch and has grossed 21.9 million to date. The Sky High sequel also added 18.5 million in global IMAX screenings during the sophomore session. I mean, this is gigantic. I mean, this movie is a monster hit. And, you know, kudos to Tom Cruise and kudos to Paramount and Skydance for not capitulating and putting this movie on Paramount Plus or a streamer during the pandemic. They held this movie for 2 years, and rightfully so. If you haven't seen Top Gun, see it at the biggest, loudest theater you can. And then domestically, Top Gun Maverick barrel rolls to 291 million domestically, easily Tom Cruise's top grossing movie at the domestic box office. Tom Cruise movies, he'd never had $100 million opener except War of the Worlds.
Okay.
I think.
I have no idea, Rob.
So Paramount's
box office.
Yeah, Paramount Skydance's Top Gun Maverick held throughout the week, and it's holding at a brilliant, steady weekend too. The sequel's down in America 32%, and that's the best for an awesome number. Awesome number. That is the best for a wide release that opened to so it's movies that opened above $100 million. That kind of so movies that to have this kind of a 32% drop is astonishing. The sequel's 32% ease is the best for a wide release that opened to 100 million ahead of the 40% weekend to posted. So a movie only dropped 40%. And that was Star Wars: The Force Awakens in December of 2015. And 2004's Shrek 2 had a 33% drop. Top Gun smoked them both. So,
unbelievable. Because I'm quite surprised, Rob, because I had no idea how this movie would do, considering how old the original is. Is the fan base still there? So this is quite a really great surprise.
You know what I think is really interesting about this movie? I don't think that the fan base even matters because it's so old. You know, I always say on observations that
you're probably right.
You know, that pop culture has a half-life of 20 years. And you're looking at 36 years for this. It's not even a factor. I think that. And this movie is I think it's so much better and so different than the sequel that the fact if you're a Top Gun fan, it really doesn't have any bearing on it. It's just a great movie. And it doesn't hurt that basically the movie replays the end of Star Wars. It's literally the attack on the Death Star. They're going to hit a thermal exhaust port and they give us the battle of the Death Star and they do it for real. A brilliant conceit, really well done. I have no complaints.
Rob, could you just check Doctor Strange? Has he perhaps crossed 900 million worldwide?
Good. Let me see. Let's see where we're at with Doctor Strange.
Because he was really close before the weekend.
It has. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is at 909,400. 909,411,116 dollars as of a couple days ago. So for those of you who, you know, there's people like, oh, Doctor Strange is a failure. No, it's not. It almost grossed $1 billion. Now we're so used to that. It's an astonishing feat. Doctor Strange in the Mouth of Madness did quite well. And once again, another triumph for Marvel. Whether you loved it or not, still a triumph for Marvel. So where are we at, son?
Where we at? What I like, Rob, considering streaming, when I can watch a movie ahead of time a little bit and then make my decision if I keep my pre-order up. And unfortunately, Rob, I have to say I have canceled a pre-order.
What?
I have canceled a pre-order, Rob.
No. The trash panda?
Yeah. I watched Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. Not really impressed, Rob. Really not.
Not feeling it, huh?
Not feeling it. I actually canceled my pre-order, considering the movie. To be honest, you know, wasn't really even a little bit below the Uncharted movie, considering it's lengthier.
Yeah, I didn't order Uncharted either.
Considering how it did at the box office, that tells you something too, you know. So I really don't know if Warner wants to keep this franchise going. Let's see.
Yeah, that's wow. Okay. By the way, Thor's Brown Eye sends in a super chat and says, "Hello, how gross and gory is Crimes of the Future?" Well, I would say Crimes of the Future is pretty gross and gory because it's got surgical things and there's a dead kid that gets an autopsy in it. But the problem is, again, the movie's so distancing that when you're watching it, you don't feel that it's gory. It just is weird.
So you would say Possessor is the better movie, Rob, considering the last?
You know what? Honestly, I have to say that I think Possessor is a lot more entertaining from a visceral standpoint, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I really like Possessor, although, again, it's a little distancing, but I did enjoy it. And especially the uncut version that is gory.
Okay. How we start, Rob? Live chat? Should I show some
titles? I think live chat's a staple of the show, Dieter. People like to hear.
Exactly.
They because like to hear.
The people behaved, Rob, last week, so there are not perhaps that many. Previously on Let's Get Physical Media, Stubble McShave asks us, Rob, I've heard good things about The Survivor on HBO. Have anyone seen it? Me, I have not seen it.
I haven't either.
Seen okay, you have not. So sorry, Stubble, we can't help you out there. Video Hunter Dieter asked Rob if he watched my Blu-ray. I have no idea what he's talking about, Rob. Video Hunter D, have you watched his Blu-ray?
Oh, okay. Let me tell you. So I have to do an unboxing. I haven't.
Okay.
Video Hunter D sent me something that I couldn't believe. So, and I haven't done this unboxing. A lot of people have sent me stuff. I have to do an unboxing. I save up stuff before I do it. So one of the movies that is a grail movie for me to get on Blu-ray is a Chinese-Japanese co-production film that I saw in the mid-'80s at the Seattle Film Festival called The Go Masters. And I'd never seen it anywhere. I looked for it on physical media. And when I was at Joe Bologna's house, Gabe Bologna's dad, their parents, Joe Bologna,
I think I remember it now.
He had this on VHS.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And it was part of this collection from Columbia. And I freaked out. He gave me the tape, but it was a VHS tape. And so Video Hunter D sent me, and I have not played it yet, to be fair, because I was waiting till I do the unboxing. I mean, I looked at it, what it was, but he sent me a copy of the Go Masters on Blu-ray.
From which country? Where did
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's a rip. Like he took it off the VHS tape and he put it on Blu-ray. I can't believe it. So Video Hunter D, of course, I like his name because I'm a Vampire Hunter D fan. I have a Vampire Hunter D. As a matter of fact, I have a Vampire Hunter D original movie one sheet, the domestic release, right over there.
Nice.
Which you can't see it because there's other posters behind it. But yeah, so Video Hunter D, I can't thank you enough for getting me the Go Masters. And it doesn't matter if it's a rip off the VHS. I don't care. I mean, the fact that I have it, it's a wonderful movie about the game of Go, and it's a period piece. And I only saw it once, and I loved it. And ever since then, I have not seen it. I still haven't seen it, even though I now have the VHS tape that Joe Bologna gave me, and I have the Blu-ray.
Nice. Okay. So Victor Fontaine said, Rob is going for the Chris Gore look, the white hair sticking straight up in the front. And Terry Tiberius Morg answered, Robert's hair is almost at Ensign Mount's height.
Oh, all I need is the pomade or pomade.
Yeah, exactly.
I could definitely rock. And now I'm going to say something.
Then you're right for the bridge.
I'm going to say something, Dieter.
Okay.
Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting. Yeah.
I thought that in the last episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Spock Amok, it had my favorite scene in modern Star Trek since the end of Enterprise. Since Enterprise fourth season went off the air in 2005, there's a scene of diplomacy, of Pike engaged in diplomacy at the end of this episode that I felt for the very first time in almost 20 years that there was a true Star Trek moment. And I loved it.
I haven't seen the last episode, Rob.
I had problems with the episode as a whole, but that scene, there are two scenes I'll give credit for. The last scene with Q and Picard in Picard season 2, that scene was good. And this scene with Anson Mount and him engaging in diplomacy, and then something happens. These aliens hoist the Federation flag on their spaceship, which is a giant solar sail, like the Bajorn, that episode with Cisco and Jake in Deep Space Nine. It was a terribly composed effect shot. I hate the effects in modern Star Trek. I hate the people designing the effects. I don't hate them as people, but terribly designed. And here was a moment where it begged to have a close-up when you saw the Federation flag unfurl in space. It didn't hamper the moment for me, the badly designed effect shot, but it was a great Star Trek moment. And awesome. For the very first time since 2005, I felt, wow, this, and of course, and they can get rid of all the other cast members. They should just make a show with Anson Mount. But it's not that they're bad, but I mean, still, it was a great Star Trek moment. It got me right here. Actually, it got me right awesome. Here. So I felt pretty good about it.
Have to catch up with that.
Yeah,
and good. We already spoken about Top Gun Maverick. Agent Silverfox, Rob, you were correct. Top Gun Maverick is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to get a Steelbook 4K to match the original Steelbook I have and get it blaring on my Atmos system in my cinema room.
Dude, I can't wait.
Folks, yeah, we can't wait. And Rogue Finger, the Rise, Revolt, Roar is actually really good, and I have only seen the first 2 scenes. It's 3 hours long, Rogue Finger. You have something ahead of you. Rob, sometimes I don't know if the people in the live chat, you will probably say this is a troll, but I go with him. Kondo 007 says, Rennie Harlin is a great action director. I'll leave that standing alone, okay?
Hey, I won't disagree with that. There's a lot of good action in his movies.
Okay.
It's the rest of the movie that I have a problem with.
We talk a little bit about organization of Blu-rays and 4Ks and DVDs. Thomas Mitchell, Blu-ray, DVD, 4K organization. Meh, I don't organize anything. I just stick it on a shelf. Doesn't matter where. Well, Thomas, actually, it looks here like this, like you said. And it's always great to get my friend from Norway, Terje, to back me up here on the show, because he said, the German speaks the truth. Get Wormwood, Rob. Get Wormwood.
Yeah, no, I will. I will get that.
They back me up on this. Mansplainer said, the latest 4K Blu-ray of Possessor from Turbine Media Group is now on the way. Rob, I'm actually going to get it before you. Always nice to see people buying German.
I know, I need to get that disc.
And of course, Rob, were you happy with the fight at the quarry this week in Obi-Wan Kenobi? Where they fight at the quarry? Because we talked a little bit about Obi-Wan, and of course, people chimed in considering Obi-Wan Kenobi. Victor Fontaine, yeah, totally checked out on Disney Star Wars, canceled Disney Plus, no longer have a horse in that race. Now putting that money towards physical media. M says, just the letter M, Disney does an excellent job of wrecking classic films and classic characters. Tom Jr. Jackson, there was nothing wrong with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It was so much fun. I can't wait to see what happens next. Tom, are you trolling? Okay. But Pete and Card said the same. I like the Book of Boba Fett. It was pretty good. Just a bit clunky, perhaps a little bit clunky.
It was McClunky.
This Obi-Wan show is cool, in my opinion. 8 out of 10 for me. Let's delve a little bit into Obi-Wan, Rob. Actually, it was the 3rd episode for me. Has nice moments, but I watched a little bit about you and John Campbell talk about the episode 3, and I loved how you said that the show has no narrative thrust for you. And I couldn't agree more, Rob, because we have now almost 2 hours and you could summarize the plot in 2 or 3 sentences.
Well, I mean, if you look at Star Wars, Obi-Wan, the 3 episodes of Obi-Wan are longer than the original Star Wars, and they're longer than Empire Strikes Back. If you think about how much they do narratively in both the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and you look at Obi-Wan, I don't even know, like, I can't even anticipate where's this going. Like, I can't even think to myself, okay, if you were going to do a show, here's what I don't understand. First of all, I have a real problem with the way these shows are made with the volume stages, because you can't have people like running this way because of the way that the volume works. So that's why people are always running toward the camera or whatever, because the parallax and all that. But there's an over reliance. Now, by the way, I have heard from a very reliable source, somebody I trust, that the Andor series is amazing. That the Andor series, they shot it in London, and that the show is really
so not in the volume in the Pinewood Studios.
Yeah, no, well, I think that they shot it differently. The volume, they shoot Book of Boba Fett, they shoot Obi-Wan, they shoot Mandalorian, all at Manhattan Beach Studios here in LA. I've been there. I've been out to the studios, and that's where they have the volume stages. I think their over reliance on that is what, like, the Vader Obi-Wan Kenobi fight in the 3rd episode. It's like, it's at night. You know, they're on basically a street. You know, and while maybe that doesn't really matter, I mean, Star Wars environments are really important. And we're not seeing these, everything looks the same. It's like you're shooting a Western, and whether you're on Tatooine or whether you're on some mining colony, you know, it's like you're on some dusty road. It looks low budget, the lowest of the low. I mean,
and considering that, Rob, I don't let that excuse slide. It's for TV. No, this is Disney. This is Disney we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not some other TV
No,
channel.
I mean, you look at the stuff. Look, even, I don't know if you watched the new episode of the Orville, New Horizons.
Unfortunately, I haven't caught up with that one too, Rob.
Well, I mean, they spent some money on that show. I mean, that show it's very interesting, because in the beginning, there's a space battle. And even Elizabeth's like, your Axanar stuff looked better than the space battle. And of course, it's a dream sequence, and if somebody wakes up, and then they cut to like these beautiful exterior effect shots, and they are absolutely incredible. So they got away with doing this big, massive battle, but they didn't have to put as much time into it as maybe because it was supposed to be a dream. And then they cut to the actual effects, and it's just like, I mean, it's still effects, but you know what I mean? Like the real world in the Orville, the real universe, it is just jaw-dropping. I mean, it looks like a $200 million feature film. They've really upgraded the effects. But Obi-Wan, it's like these environments are, they're just, it just looks lackluster. I love what Ewan McGregor is doing, but I mean, it's not that interesting. And you know what? Who would have thought that Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, is about him going to rescue Princess Leia, which is what Star Wars is about. I mean,
Darth Vader is on his revenge tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on, you couldn't have come up with something better than that. I mean, look, little Leia, I get it, but really, the little kid version of Princess Leia, that's like, he couldn't have done anything else. Like, what if there were like disenfranchised Jedi that are out there all alone, dangling in the wind, and his job was to go get them? I mean, it's interesting. We see him deal with a Jedi. Obi-Wan, help me. And the Jedi gets hung. And I'm like, you allowed a Jedi Knight, which are now limited. How many Jedi are left? A Jedi comes to you for help and you don't help him? And he gets hung? And yet I'm going to go rescue young Princess Leia because for why? I don't know.
And for me, the strangest scene in episode 3 was, with the laser barrier. You had that great Instagram photo. Oh, I was thinking first, Rob, he was taking the transporter through it. That's why he was gotten rid of the 3 lasers. No. Then they walk across on foot. Then you had a little bit before that scene with the droid and the 2 stormtroopers. He's doing his John Wick thing, and then scene after, 3 stormtroopers come. Oh, I give up.
Yeah, I mean, how many people did he just straight up murder in that? You know, I guess when you use a blaster, you don't have to worry about defense and the force and whatever. You can just straight up murder dudes. I know.
And then the other one came coming towards him, totally in line, you know. But then he said, "Oh, I give up." Okay. Let's see where this show will go. Back to the live check and Obi-Wan. Tim Hens answered Tom Jr. Jackson, except young child Leia manages to outrun her kidnappers in the woods, please. You know. Mansplainer, nothing takes me out of a moment more than a 10-year-old cracking grandpa jokes in the middle of a life and death rescue. And Donnie Pearson said, well, Rob, to agree with you, that theme music by John Williams is what I love the best about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington, Better Call Saul series is the best thing that's out. And Gary, I probably can't disagree with you. It is one definitely of the best. And we talked a little bit about it. Mansplainer said Severance is my favorite show this year.
Yeah.
By far amazing experience. Have you gotten around to watch it?
No, I've only watched the first episode, but I will say this. I think what's really frustrating about the Star Wars shows is we live in a world where there's such great genre television, whether it's From the Earth to the Moon that starts this week. I can't wait. Whether it's, I mean, dare I say it, you know, the Orville, even Star Trek Strange New Worlds with the amount of money they're spending on it, Foundation, and let's go to other shows like Better Call Saul or The Gilded Age, or take your pick. And that the Star Wars shows end up having this lackluster writing is incredibly disappointing. And, you know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't want to dislike Star Wars shows, but these Star Wars shows should have the best writing on TV. And I don't understand when you watch Boba Fett running around in a kitchen going, I am Boba Fett, as he grabs a droid by the neck. And then you're watching a scene like at that laser gate, you know, it's just maddening. You're looking at this.
Your picture on Instagram was great.
I mean, you know, that
you get that all over.
For those of you who don't know, there's a TikTok star who looks at people's life hacks when they try and make things overly complicated, and he shows you the real way to do it. And then he's like, and somebody, I didn't create that meme, but somebody took the laser wall or the laser barrier and had him put him there, and he's going, you know, like,
at first I was thinking he's taking the transporter through. Well, no, we are on foot. Okay, this was the live chat, Rob, from last week.
Well, you know, obviously I can't show the graphics of stuff, but there's some. The Northman comes out in 4K this week.
Next week,
Red Dawn, the original Red Dawn is coming out. Wolverines is coming out. To follow up on the heels of the $6 Million Man complete series on box set, The Bionic Woman is coming out, and I will be buying both because I loved those. Warner Archive, George Feltenstein's company, they're putting out The Frisco Kid with Harrison Ford and Gene Wilder, which, you know, I always liked that movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it is coming out. So I'm excited that because they put out a lot of films that, you know, that I don't know if there are a lot of classic films. I don't know how many people are going to buy them, but The Frisco Kid's something people, I think, will buy. Kino Lorber is putting out another box set of film noir. I think it's their 11th box set, which is pretty cool. And you know what's coming out on Blu-ray? The Martin Campbell directed No Escape with Ray Liotta. Which used to be called Absalon, Escape from Absalon.
Yeah, exactly.
It was called No Escape here. And I think perhaps the greatest news of the week, Zalman King's Wild Orchid 2, 2 Shades of Blue, or AKA Wild Orchid 2 Blue Movie Blue, starring Nina Shimosko. And that's a movie that I went with my friend Dave Hargrove and saw in the theater. Nina Shimosko's naked. I'll buy that disc. I'll buy anything Zalman King. He always, as John would say, brought the filthy. And I'm a huge Zalman King fan. So why not? Very, very excited about
this is part 2
that.
From the Wild Orchid series.
Yeah, that it has nothing to do with Mickey Rourke and nothing at all to do with that. But Wild Orchid 2, 2 Shades of Blue with Nina Shimosko, and very excited about that. And your favorite movie, Pleasure, is coming out on Blu-ray. Very, very excited about that.
Rob, a big recommendation for my end.
I mean, I need to see Red Rocket and Pleasure, and as a double, my porn awesome double feature that I need to.
Yeah, totally great, a double feature, Rob. Doesn't matter how you start with what movie.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I just
perhaps a Pleasure first, Rob, because it's a little bit more of a perhaps grittier, downer movie, and Red Rocket for more an uptick, a little bit funnier.
Well, I do want to say that we had a $20 super chat coming in from the Gorns manicurist, and
nice.
the Gorns manicurist says, that's what he says. And since I have the Gorn here with me, so there you go, Gorn's manicurist. By the way, I love this. I love my Gorn statue. We'll put him back on his stand
awesome.
here. But yes, so there. That's
No Escape. Nice.
No Escape's coming out. Very excited to get that. And Gorn manicurist. I don't know what you said because I don't speak Gorn, but I tried to translate that as best as I could. Rob's Other Nightmare sends in a tip and says, Rob awakens to the news that Bad Robot has just made a new deal with Warner Brothers for them to remake 2001: A Space Odyssey and A Clockwork Orange. But the real nightmare is it was Dieter Bastian behind it all. Evil grin and smile from Dieter. Dieter, if I ever found out,
I don't think I have that Hollywood power yet.
If you did, you might. You could be stealthily like financing half of Hollywood's slate. If you ever did something like that, I would never speak to you again, and I would erase all previous episodes of Let's Get Physical Media. As far as I was concerned, no longer are you my favorite German or anyone else's favorite German. So no. And if they did that, if Bad Robot remade, if anybody remade 2001: A Space Odyssey, that is where I hang it up. That is where I'm going to go find cocaine that has fentanyl in it, and I'm just going to do rails and die because I can't
Speaking
live.
About cocaine, Rob, how awesome is The Boys season 3? I couldn't believe it, Rob. Awesome.
For those of you who don't watch The Boys, one, why not? You know what? I thought I'd seen it all, Dieter. I mean,
me too, Rob. Me too. But the first kill, I was.
The first 15 minutes of I could not. You know what's really funny? Like we talk about, by the way, Vinegar Syndrome sold out of their 4K thriller, A Cruel Picture.
That's good.
10,000 copies.
Nice.
10,000 copies. And I also have to say that that Imprint sold out of the Warriors. So, yeah. So there you go.
Back to The Boys.
The boys, dude.
So good.
First of all, the first 3 episodes it is fantastic.
Fantastic.
And Anthony Starr's Homelander could be the greatest.
Does he have an Emmy, Rob? If not, give him.
Dude, that guy, the performance, he is the scariest motherfucker that's ever been on TV.
And I first saw him, Rob, on Banshee, the series Banshee. I don't know if you have seen the series Banshees it came out on the Cinemax label, where he played a good guy, Rob. Actually, he played a good guy. And this was the first time I've seen him. But as Homelander, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So good.
It is. And what happens, the villainy. And I just and also nobody blows people up and destroys people's heads. The physical violence in this show is so over the top and beyond the pale but it is the greatest gore ever done. I know it's CGI.
Yeah, totally, Rob, totally.
It's a comedy. There's never been, it's got weight to it. Like when people blow up in movies, like they blow up too much because bodies are wet. So David Cronenberg's head explosion in Scanners might be the greatest head explosion of all time because it doesn't just go, it goes, because brain matter is wet. They get it. When a body explodes, it doesn't go, it goes, my God. By the way, when
Nadia kills her former friend, unbelievable, Rob. Unbelievable.
When she blasts out it's the greatest gore ever done. Ever done.
I have to totally agree. It's totally insane how good The Boys is.
Insane. And the story is great. Like this season, The Boys, I think it's one of those people brought up Clockwork Orange, Rob's other nightmare. I think Clockwork Orange, the movie, is actually better than the book. I do think it's better than the book. The Boys is better than the comic. The TV series is better. And
That's
I like
a great
the
compliment, Rob.
I like the comic. I do. I like the comic a lot.
And Rob, we have seen a lot of stuff, Human Centipede. And to get a gag reflex, the movie has to show me really something terrible. But when the deep spoiler for people who haven't seen the Boys yet, when he has to eat something, Rob, a little bit of a gag reflex I had with that scene. Dude. But The Boys is awesome, just to say.
Yeah. Yep. Do
we do some super chats or should we show some stuff?
Oh, well, yeah. Hang on. There's a few super chats I want to get to because they're problem. Good.
No problem.
Chris,
just saying, Rob, watch The Boys, people. Watch The Boys.
It's incredible. Chris C says, if Obi-Wan is supposed to protect Luke, how can he do that with no power? If the Inquisitors were there for Luke, what was his plan? Why can't Reva read Owen's mind if she can sense he knows something? Here's the thing, and I keep getting this. No one knows that Luke and Leia exist. No one. They don't know. And I think that we need to say that. Canonically, they don't know. And some old guy in Hollywood, some old guy in Hawaii who I did a whole show about his letter. He says No Escape is awesome. Stuart Wilson as an actor does not get enough credit. Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. My favorite Stuart Wilson role ever might be in Exorcist 3. Oh, nice. The way he smokes cigarettes, the way he's crazy. It's great. Really, 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 really good. So I am with you there 100%. So yeah. Yes, indeed. Justin Toner. Justin Toner says, hey guys, no new purchases this week. Had to save money. Rob, did you get the Double Indemnity 4K? Yes, I'm hearing it's gorgeous. Can't wait to get that one. I'll be seeing Crimes of the Future Wednesday night with 2 friends. I loved Top Gun Maverick. Glad it's a hit. Well, Justin, I don't know, buddy. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
There it is.
Yes, I did. The Star Wars of this is the Star Wars of film noir. If you haven't seen Double Indemnity, and here's the thing, I know people will be like, well, Rob, why didn't you wait for the half-yearly Barnes & Noble Criterion sale? I could have, but you know what? These 4K discs, they worry me. If you don't get them, I feel like that, and I know that not a lot of people probably are like clamoring for Double Indemnity, but this was a must-buy first day for me. So I haven't looked at it. I haven't even cracked it open, only because here in the Rob Observatory, I just got the shelving units in. The TV goes in today, and the system will be connected, and I will be fully armed and operational here in the Observatory. Locked and
Double Indemnity was on Elizaviews.
Yes, Double Indemnity was on Elizaviews, and it's funny. This is actually. Would it surprise you to know this is the third copy of Double Indemnity that I have?
Not really, Rob.
I've got the European Steelbook.
Hopefully, the final one.
Yeah, no, this is where 4K is where physical media goes to die. So, and that's, I think we're all caught up here with.
Okay. So, what did you get else, Rob? You were starting the show, Double Indemnity.
Oh, well, I have to tell you, a lot of stuff I ordered, I haven't got. Like Kino Lorber put out the Man with No Name movies, Fistful of Dollars, and for a few dollars more.
It's more, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I always forget. I feel like I should always order Kino Lorber titles directly from Kino. I ordered them from Amazon. They only had one. The release date was this week. And both of them were delayed until next week. Don't know why. So I only have two things to show. I mean, three things, including Double Indemnity. One, now I don't talk to me about the historical accuracy, whatever, but 4K Steelbook, Brian De Palma's,
nice,
The Untouchables, and this is a classy Steelbook. I mean, it's shiny. It's shiny, and there's not really much in here, but look, you know what? I love this movie. It's beautiful. I think Stephen Burham shot it, and then this is fantastic. And then something I ordered from. So as many people know, Arrow switched over their servers like a long time ago, and they had a problem. Like I'd ordered a bunch of stuff and they just forgot them, like the Daimajin trilogy. Well, this randomly showed up this week from Arrow.
You didn't expect it at all.
The Yokai Monsters collection that I don't even remember how long ago I ordered this, but it just showed up. So I got the Yokai.
Quite to have a nice surprise.
It was a nice surprise to get the Yokai Monsters collection, Daimajin trilogy. This, I mean, but Arrow, you know, these companies like this, I think they still owe me something. God bless Arrow. I never want to say anything bad about Arrow. So those are the only three things I got: Double Indemnity, Untouchables, and the Yokai Monsters trilogy. I do not have for a few dollars more, a fistful of dollars. I don't know why I'm waiting for them till next week, but those are also 4K versions to go with Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm sure they're going to release a cool box set of all three, but you know, the Man with No Name trilogy, there you go. All in 4K, not in UHD or Dolby Vision, but whatever, it's still 4K. And my 4K stack of discs that I'm moving over there is, you know,
it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger every week.
Well, I've been weeding out my 4K discs in my collection as I move stuff in here. So what did you get? What did you get, Dieter?
I show some title. Okay, the first one is the final chapter, as far as I know it. Haven't watched it, but I was really surprised that it came out on a 4K disc. Ray Donovan, the movie.
Oh yeah,
I know is probably the final chapter to the great TV series. I totally love Donovan. Another great TV show.
Yeah,
this is the final chapter, which came out on 4K, strangely.
Right.
Ray Donovan. The next one I watched this week, Rob. It was nice considering the gore effects. Studio 666 from David Grohl.
You know, I ordered that too, and I haven't got mine. So you liked it. I haven't seen it. The trailer is hilarious.
Yeah. The problem is, of course, Rob, they are not actors. You know, this is of course a little bit getting used to. And Rob, this sounds strange. The movie looks too good, you know, too clean.
Wait, what?
The movie looks too good considering a horror movie. Too clean, too digital, you know. So it could have more a little bit of that grimy stuff, you know, a little bit more.
You needed more grunge. Yeah. What's funny? How ironic that you need more grunge in Studio 666. Studio 666 needs more grunge.
But the effects were nicely done, and it is what most people say, perhaps a little bit too long. You know, if you could getting rid of perhaps 5 to 10 minutes, that you would probably be under 100 minutes. But there was a great, which made me laugh the most, was a great cameo in this movie that I didn't expect at all, but I won't give it away. Studio 666, a great cameo. Last week, Rob, I showed this movie and I watched it. I always try to get back to movies that I watched. I watched Student Body, you know, Kill Me If You Can. Kill me if you can. Unfortunately, a little bit disappointed. You can always have my money for a whodunit, you know, like Scream version.
Sure.
But you, considering, like we always said, if you do a movie like that with 90 minutes, you can't have 50 minutes go on without any kill at all. That is way.
Some people can.
Yeah, way too long. Okay, and then the kills were not really showing anything, and sometimes it's okay, but sometimes for me it's just an excuse when a director says, it's always the mind that thinks about way stuff that's more gorier than you could ever show it, But for me, it's mostly an excuse. We don't have the budget to show anything, And there was strangely enough, no big twist considering who's the killer. So unfortunately, a disappointment when it comes to Student Body. And I wanted to show this, Rob, because I have seen one of my favorite movies of this year. Ooh. And I was so glad I stayed away from, as always, Rob, any trailers. I hadn't watched any YouTube reviews, just looked at the score, what the movie was gotten. Really was looking forward to it because I like the director's previous work. One of my favorite movies this year, X, Rob.
Wow, okay.
From Ty West.
Ty West.
And considering my critic with this movie, Rob, that I have to wait almost half the running time, considering the first kills. Actually, that would be a criticism here too. But if you can create such a great atmosphere like Ty West is with this movie, and when it started then to get to the killing, Rob, insane stuff. Great movie. And this is, Rob, another example. I pre-ordered. It will come out as a 4K here in Germany. And this was, and it unfortunately not in the States, which I didn't understand. So this was just a checkup if I will keep the 4K or not. Of course, I will keep the 4K of it. And what I didn't understand, Lionsgate always uses the Rotten Tomato sticker, or you have great quotes on how good the movie is. This has actually really nothing to say about the movie. No Rotten Tomato sticker on it, or the Rotten Tomato score is, no quotes about the movie. But for me, this was one of my favorites this year. And Rob, I don't know, there was one thing I didn't detect when I watched the movie, and I won't want to give it away. I don't know how much you know about the movie.
I know a little bit, but don't spoil it. But
okay, I don't spoil it. There was one thing I had no idea, and I have watched a featurette in the bonus section, and I was, oh my god, this put the movie a little bit up. And the movie started with something, Rob, that we normally don't like. You started something, and then it goes 24 hours earlier, But in this movie, it works, Rob, because if you would have shown the stuff that you see at the beginning, at the end, it would just make the movie a little bit not good at the ending, but you wouldn't need that stuff because you were already at the climax of the movie, So in this movie, it works because when they get back to that scene, there is not much left,
Mm-hmm.
So in this movie, it works. And there's Jenny Ortega in it, who was in the new Scream, in Studio 666. I don't know if she's on the way to become the new Scream Queen, but she's in those movies and the other one too. For me, Rob, get this movie. Oh, wait, if you want a 4K in Germany, there will be a 4K release of Ty West's movie X. So for
nice.
me,
well, that's good.
It totally lived up to the hype. The next one, Rob, actually quite looking forward to this. An Arrow special edition for Enter the Void. A little bit shiny here. Big box set.
I didn't know that they did that. I got to get that. I'm a huge fan of this movie.
With the two cuts, I believe.
Did that come out this week?
Yeah, this week or perhaps last. It's not.
Wow, I need to buy that because I'm a huge fan of Enter the Void. I love that film.
And inside,
that was a movie that I've said this before on the show that I watched it. It's 3 hours long. When it was over, I watched it again. I watched it twice in a row. I was so blown away by it.
Okay, Rob. Then you got me interested, Rob.
Have you never seen it?
No, Rob. Actually.
Oh my God, dude! It's now at the beginning. the beginning, like there's a drug trip that lasts for 20 minutes. And you're gonna be like, what am I watching?
Gaspar Noé like.
Yeah, why am I watching this? But I assure you, if you stick with it,
little promotion,
it's quite extraordinary.
Awesome. So you had a little bit floppy cards inside. Of course, the switchable cover, it's a little bit different than the outer box. At first, I didn't notice it, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it comes inside. We have, as always, the poster with the artwork. I don't know if it's two-sided or just one.
That's pretty nice. I got to get that. I didn't know it came out. Now, is that 4K?
No, Rob. It's only Blu-ray. It's only Blu-ray. But it comes with the longer cut, I believe, that was with the movie. And of course, usual Arrow.
Yeah.
Nice, thick booklet in it. So this was a little bit of the first haul from my end.
Yep.
And we have, Rob, letters to read.
We do have letters. Hang on, I got a few super chats that have flown in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mista 47 says, my birthday is tomorrow, so I've treated myself to the 4K of the Blu-ray Skywalker Saga box set and the Batman 4K Steelbook from Best Buy. Nice.
Awesome.
Both of those are great. I mean, that the Batman 4K disc is amazing. Have you looked at it?
Unfortunately, didn't get around to it, Rob.
Oh,
did you check your the Batmobile sequence with your new Atmos?
Yeah, dude, bruh. It's just astonishing.
Awesome.
James Wheeler says, I think it's shameful Edward G. Robinson didn't get an Oscar nomination for Double Indemnity. I do too, but I think that probably at the time, the movie was probably looked upon as being a little lurid. Like, we can't give anybody an award for that movie. But I don't disagree with you. The Robo producer says, Rob, long-time watcher, first-time commenter. Well, Robo producer, nice. Welcome to the show. Just bought Top Gun 4K, seeing Maverick today. Thoughts on awesome. Kenobi Part 3? One word, Vader. Rock on. Well, you know what, Robo producer, I'm with you. And I thought, look, the voice, James Earl Jones, the voice acting, however they matched the pitch, whatever, with the Vader, it was perfect. Great. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I loved seeing Vader, but what would have been more interesting is the show should have been about Vader and Obi-Wan. I mean, all this stuff with the Inquisitors and stuff, I don't care. Because if you didn't watch the animated shows, and I know that they were, I don't look. I have no problem with Moses Ingram. I thought actually she was really good in the third episode, but the problem is, you just don't know. Like, this show should have juxtaposed where Vader is ascendant, and Kenobi is not, and Kenobi doesn't even know Vader's alive. It doesn't know Anakin's Vader. Doesn't know this, and if they had juxtaposed the story of these two brothers that have chosen very different paths that came together, it could have been a really fascinating show. And that's what everybody wanted to see. And the Inquisitors and all that stuff's fine. I mean, I get it, but who cares? Who cares?
You would have loved the reveal of Darth Vader being Anakin to Obi-Wan a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, what I would have done is where is the Empire 10 years after Order 66? The Republic is gone. Even Bail Organa. When you see Bail Organa, it's like, well, they seem like they're having a pretty good life on Alderaan. They hang out with their family. And Bail Organa is like, well, let me tell you, young Leia, it's like nothing has happened. And I feel that it's problematic for Disney. It is called Star Wars, after all. Wars are bad, unless you live on Alderaan, where everything's fine, and you've got a rich family and you can yell at your cousins or whatever. But I just feel that, like, when George Lucas was making Star Wars, he looked to Kurosawa, he looked to The Hidden Fortress, he looked to Seven Samurai. And I feel that the problem with modern Star Wars and a lot of modern franchises is they're only about those franchises. like even Strange New Worlds this week starts with Spock dreaming about what happens when you plaque tau blood fever, you have to go home. So they show us basically something we know. Oh, it's from Amok Time. We get where he's going. And I'm like, you know what? And I've said this before. If you're going to write Star Wars, you're going to write Star Trek or Doctor Who, whatever. Take the franchise out of it. Anything that has to do with other Star Wars movies or whatever, take all of that out. Write me a story about a man and what he's going through 10 years after Order 66. He's been disgraced. He's been defeated. It's 10 years later. You can put the Star Wars back into it later, but figure out what your story is. And, adding Princess Leia and Bail Organa, it's like, why do all of these franchises constantly have to name check other things? Like Star Trek can't even do a show without referencing some other Star Trek episode. It didn't used to be that way. Next Generation was not like that. You had Dr. McCoy, which they didn't even call him Dr. McCoy, we all knew, in Encounter at Farpoint. And it wasn't until the third season that they brought Spock's father, Sarek, back into the show. For the most part, then you had Naked Now, which was a terrible episode. But, I mean, you write an original story. Don't look to other Star Wars stories. Look to something else. Take George Lucas's advice. Look at a Kurosawa movie. Go adapt that. Francois Truffaut, do the 400 blows in the Star Wars universe. That's what I want to see. But no one's going to do that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to go off on a rant. Jordan Soller says Star Trek Strange New Worlds is just a fan film and definitely not real Trek. Well, that's kind of how I feel about it. It feels like all of these people that are working on Star Trek have an over-reliance on past Star Trek. They're not making something new. They're making a pastiche of stuff that we've already seen, which takes away their agency. And it feels like it's a cheat, but that's just me. What can I say? Why am I talking about this? Where was I going? I have no idea.
With the super chats. Are we?
We're done with super chats.
Okay. Eucalyptus asked in the live chat if I have seen RRR. Eucalyptus, you have to go back to the beginning of the show. We talked a little bit about RRR, the greatest bromance of all time, but it will probably not getting me into watching extremely much more Bollywood movies at the moment. So we have letters, Rob.
Wait, one more. My man Cal Swag Props again. You can see one of my favorite things that I own in my life is this. Swag Props made this, and as you can see, you can't really see it's wrapped in its oilcloth. Yeah. This is the 9 gates of the kingdom of heaven from the movie The Ninth Gate. I keep sending people to Swag Props. My friend Clark, I don't know Swag, I don't know Cal, if you heard from a guy named Clark Von Trotha in Portland, Oregon, but I sent him your way, and he was going to place an order with you. Treat him well. He's an old friend from high school, and he is a huge fan of what you're doing. So and a collector. So anyway, Swag Prop says, happy anniversary to both The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek The Wrath of Khan turned 40 years old yesterday, along with Poltergeist. Believe it or not, they opened on the same day. And of course, Free Enterprise, my own movie that Dieter Bastian does not like. Free Enterprise also opened on June 4th, 1999. So it celebrated its 23rd anniversary yesterday. I already have the 4K Blu-ray of Khan. Hopefully, Free Enterprise will get its own 4K release in the foreseeable future. Yeah, The Long Dark Night of My Soul, the one movie I directed. You can't get in high definition. Story of my life. That if there's anything metaphoric about my life, it's that.
There you go. But speaking of the Ninth Gate, Rob, my life has lost all its meaning and my will to live. The trial is over, Rob. The trial is over.
Oh yeah, what are you going to do, buddy?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Now, how did you feel about the outcome? Amber won a little, Johnny won a lot.
It was, from my perspective, the right decision from the jury. What I followed, for me, it was totally the right even the amount drop was for me the right. Like I told you, yes, he lost Fantastic Beasts through this, but Pirate 6, I'm not sure about that. So for me, it was the right amount, the right judgment. For me, your justice system works. For me, what I've seen, it works, But I'm a little bit sad.
Well, as long as you German think our justice system works, who am I to say no?
at least what I've seen on TV. No, but I was really sad, Rob, that it was finished. But luckily, the boys were there to pick me up, and we didn't talk about it. I don't know if you have finished it. Stranger Things season 4, volume 1.
We've watched up to episode 5. We have 6 and 7 to go. I have to say, I'm quite enjoying it. I like Stranger Things. I think this season with the longer episodes, there's a lot being made of the fact that Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill has been used. People are like,
back in the charts, Rob. Back in the charts.
I mean, I'm a huge Kate Bush fan. I've got a Japanese laserdisc of her videos. I mean, I still sing Babushka, Babushka, Babushka. I'm a huge Kate Bush fan. The Sensual World, I'm a huge fan. So it's funny to see all these people going, all these kids are downloading Kate Bush. I'm like, yeah, I was buying Kate Bush in 1985 when The Hounds of Love came out. It's all good. But it's great nice.
when a song comes back this way, it's always nice. And I totally love the first.
Well, what's funny volume. Is in the John Hughes movie, she's having a baby. There's the song, "This Woman's Work." I mean, that is a great fucking song, and that was in She's Having a Baby. So it's not like Kate Bush was some obscure. I mean, I know she doesn't appear much in public, and she's never come to the United States to play live. Never. And maybe she will now. Who knows?
Yeah. But great season 4, first volume. And as far as I know, Rob, they were only splitting it because episode 8 and 9 is not finished. Mm-hmm. As far as I know. I've
and nine is 2.5 hours long.
And Rob, it's not the final season, I believe. They will.
They're going to do season 5. And I'll tell you, I have to say again, I thought season 2 and 3 were a little hit and miss. Season 1 was new and fresh and all that, but I have to say, very satisfying. I think season 4 is a very satisfying. Yeah, sometimes they jump around like, I don't give a fuck what's going on in Russia and Alaska. It's like, I don't care, whatever. I'll watch it. It's cool. They got to get Hopper out. Okay. But still really entertaining, great acting. The monster, the big bad is great. Again, great deaths.
It's always a plus, Rob.
The deaths, I mean, between the boys and between Stranger Things, different kinds of deaths, but the carnage in these shows is much appreciated.
Totally. And help me out, Rob. For me, Stranger Things was really the first show I remember in 2016 putting Netflix on the map, considering their own produced stuff, which was really the first runaway hit as far as I remember it. Was Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean, of course, House of Cards was their first big, like, hey, they're making shows. But in terms of making a water cooler show, and there are things that Duffer Brothers have done, like the logo is the Stephen King, the font they used on Stephen King books in the 80s. And I do love, I used to complain. I'm like, the Kenner Millennium Falcon toy that they have in the first season of Stranger Things 2 or Stranger Things 1 is actually the special edition Millennium Falcon because the engine detail is different. So they didn't get that detail right. That's how I was the first season. I was like nitpicking it to death. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think this 4th season is.
And how good was Sadie Sink as Max in episode 4, Rob?
Dude.
So good.
And I have to say, eliciting an emotional response. Again, seeing Matthew Modine come back and some of the 11 storyline when she's back, and then that gets a little long. I'm like, I get it. I understand, like, going into the same room over and over again. I'm like, okay. But so some of it's, it's not perfect, but it's good. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
It's very good. Very good. Okay. Let us. The first
hang on. There's one more.
Okay.
Michael Preston says, and I love this, Michael Preston says, "Is it sad that I enjoyed Play Trek more than Strange New Worlds?" So for those of you who don't, no, it is not. For those of you who don't know, Martino Sumoni, who is a friend of the channel, and who has supported this channel in many different ways, he's the guy that sent me the Playmobil Enterprise, got me an as each a Play. He has been making these. There's 3 of them now. Play Trek, and the new episode just went up. I put it up on the channel. It's 25 minutes long, and he spends a long time. He builds sets, and in the Playmobil Star Trek crew is investigating the scale wars. What's different between 1/12 figures and 1/6 figures? They're traveling the galaxy. They meet He-Man and G.I. Joe in this episode, and that's amazing.
What I call a crossover.
That is a crossover. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. So
awesome,
Michael. I'm glad you dig it.
Awesome. The first letter comes from Brian Knight. Ruined my Sunday brunch. Robert, you ruined my plans for a Sunday brunch while watching your Sunday podcast, Let's Get Physical Media. When I checked YouTube, it listed 11 a.m. I plan to start a brunch at that time. Start with a banana, sourdough, English muffins with strawberry preserves, Irish breakfast tea with 1% milk, and 3 shots of sugar-free vanilla syrup, and finish with 6 rashers of bacon. What do I discover when I start my brunch? What do I discover when I start my brunch? You switch the time to 12 noon. Really? Next weekend, Memorial Day, will be easier. I'll eventually get around to your show after watching the Indy 500 and Monaco Grand Prix. Brunch will be the 3 Bs, blintzes, bacon and bubbly, champagne. Refuse to use the descriptor sparkling wine. Going to love as Dieter tries to read through this. Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Brian, for putting me up to this. So this was from Brian Knight. The next one comes from Teichi Spellini. MCU Blu-rays versus Disney plus 4K streaming versions. Greetings, Dieter and Rob. The other day, I decided to do a comparison between my regular Blu-rays for Captain America, The First Avenger, and its 4K UHD streaming counterpart on Disney Plus. I noticed two things immediately and wanted to get your thoughts. First off, with the one positive for Disney Plus streaming, I was blown away by how much better the 5.1 Dolby on the Disney Plus version sounds compared to the 7.1 DTS Master Audio.
Don't get me started.
The second thing I noticed though is how anemic the picture looked on Disney Plus compared to my Blu-ray, which is incredibly vibrant color-wise for an MCU film. I was thrown off by this because I didn't even find the 4K UHD on Disney Plus to make all that big of a difference in sharpness either, which is not the case when comparing a 4K quality stream film on Amazon or Netflix or its Blu-ray counterpart. Usually, I find the 4K stream and a regular Blu-ray to be about the same picture-wise, always making it apparent that 4K discs are superior across the board. I then had a thought that this might not be a stream issue, but that in the 4K transfer, the film may have been recolored to fit into a more homogeneous palette of the greater MCU, as Phase 1 was noticeably more saturated in color, especially the Joe Johnston original Captain America film. I know both of you own for the 4K disc for all the MCU films. Have you ever done a comparison between the different versions available, especially the earlier films before they decided on the more flat and desaturated look we have now? Anyways, hope all is well, live long and prosper, from TJ. Considering myself, I have never done any comparison, and you said, TJ, the sharpness, that could, from my perspective, perhaps be that the movie were actually finished on a 2K master and then just upscaled to 4K. So perhaps that's where you're missing a little bit of sharpness, considering the heavy CGI they are using in the MCU movies, from my perspective.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, the Disney, the Marvel films were, most of them, especially the early ones, were finished in 2K, and they were up-resed. And the sound issue was a big problem. The early discs, the early Atmos mixes, whatever, they were very anemic. And I think that there was an active effort on the part of Disney. I could never prove this, that they want to get rid of physical media altogether. I mean, they're still making money on it, but the reality is they want to get rid of it all. And I get it. They want you to subscribe to Disney Plus, because if you buy their movies, then you're done. They've got your money. They're never going to get any more. But if you subscribe to Disney Plus, they get your cheddar every month. Mm-hmm. And for me, the fact that they have the IMAX enhanced versions of the Disney films. I mean, the IMAX enhanced versions of Infinity War and Endgame are better. You know, having more Thanos and all that. But yeah, the problem with streaming is invariably, and it'll change moving forward, both picture and especially sound, because they get away. That's where they really get you, is they can compress the sound a lot more. And if you have a decent sound system, it really is noticeable, really noticeable. So yeah, I mean, and the fact that you can only get IMAX enhanced versions on Disney Plus, you know, thank God Warner Brothers puts out Christopher Nolan movies with the IMAX scenes. And I'm sure that Paramount, I mean, look, Gun
Maverick. Fingers crossed.
I really hope that Maverick is IMAX enhanced, because the changing aspect ratios, I mean, an hour of that movie is shot in IMAX. Yeah. Awesome. And it really matters. If you haven't seen it in IMAX, I mean, so for those of you who don't know, 235, you know, and then with IMAX, it's a much more, and I don't mind the changing aspect ratio. And with a movie like Top Gun Maverick, it works really, really well. And look, that movie, I wouldn't be surprised if its sales, with this kind of satisfaction that it's providing to audiences, I wouldn't be surprised if it makes $1 billion. And if it does, hopefully Paramount Home Video. And by the way, Paramount Home Video just made a deal with Kino Lorber, as we talked about on the show, to release catalog titles. I really hope that Paramount, you know, they used to be a Paramount Home Video, not so much lately, but they were one of the preeminent. Their transfers and shit were awesome. And, you know, hope we get back to that. Obviously, as we talked about last week on the show, when I was showing like Beverly Hills Cop, they're now producing their discs in Germany. Yeah. And you Krauts, you Jerry's, you guys, you have the best, the strictest QC standards in the world. So if they're putting out discs, if they're manufacturing discs in Germany, what I love about that is you do have the highest standards, which means that they are making sure that the physical media they're delivering is of the very highest caliber. So
I hope we won't let you down, Rob.
You better not, because then I can start calling you Kraut all the time.
Okay, that was MCU movies, Blu-ray versus 4K stream.
By the way, Martino Simoni, our man Martino, sends in a super chat. The man, the crazy Maverick himself, the mad genius behind Playtrek, says, no time for words. Still 2 Gorns to manicure today. By the way, Dieter and Robert, you two rock like a hurricane. Did you not say you rock like a hurricane this morning?
Yes, I did, Rob.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Where was Rob? Where was Rocky Like a Hurricane featured in which show? The Boys.
Oh my God! It was, dude. I meant to mention that to you. It was in The Boys.
In The Boys, yeah.
Here I am.
Exactly.
They knew.
And here is
I think Jordan Saylor.
Yeah.
Says, what is your feeling of Flash Gordon? I, for one, always loved it. The music is awesome. It's Queen. And even the special effects seem to hold up. Okay, first of all.
Well, Jordan Saylor, you have probably not watched Let's Get Physical Media for a long time, because Rob and myself, what did we buy, Rob?
Multiple copies of the 4K. First of all, here's the thing. Flash Gordon rules. I mean, totally, it rules.
Totally, Rob.
And I've got friends who are like, oh, that movie's it's terrible. I'm like, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It rules. It's awesome. I mean, Ornella Muti as Princess Aura is one of the most beautiful women. Oh my God. Wow.
Flash Gordon is awesome.
Flash Gordon rules.
Totally.
Savior of the universe. So no, but it's funny. I understand. You know, lest we not forget, summer began with The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, Christmas, and the year ended with Flash. Come on, what a year. What a year.
Awesome.
By the way, Tom Jr. Jackson says I missed a super chat of his. I don't know where it is. Okay. I'm looking at it. It disappeared into the ether. So, Tom.
I hope not.
DM me or something. I'll read it.
Can help us out. The next letter comes from our friend Vincent from France. Biopic documentaries. Hi, Rob. Guten Tag, Dieter. Thank you for doing the show. At the end of the 90s and beginning of 2000s, there were a lot of biopic documentaries on TV channels. Biography, HBO, TCM, and that were reused on DVDs by Warner Bros. And 20th Century Fox. In some cases, there were co-productions from TV channels and home entertainment divisions. They were great feature-length documentaries about directors, actors that led people to discover new films, new artists, and perpetuate our love for cinemas. I was recently watching an interesting documentary on director Howard Hawks on the Warner's DVD, Bringing Up Baby. Today, with the streaming platforms, could this reappear in one way or another? It is very important to educate movie buffs and convince newer generations. With love from friends. Rob, I'll let you take this one, considering documentaries.
Well, I mean, look, I think that I love documentaries about the making of movies and like things like Bringing Up Baby. What's great about them is that a lot of these movies, the modern audiences don't care. You know, I always talk about the end of the half-life of pop cultures. In my mind, it's 20 years. Yeah, and every 20 years, things descend back in time. Like how many kids today, how many millennials, and I'm not bagging on millennials or Gen Z, how many of them would have never heard of Double Indemnity? They don't even know what film noir is. You know, I mean, I've talked about blaxploitation movies and people think I'm being a racist. And I'm like, okay, you know, and there is a lack of historical perspective. So when somebody does a great documentary on the making of a movie, like I think Kevin Burns' documentary on Cleopatra, which I think it's on the DVD, but it must be on the Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. It's a 2.5 hour documentary on the making of Cleopatra and what it did to 20th Century Fox is amazing. And when you get to the end of that documentary, you might never have seen Cleopatra, but it will make you want to watch it. And
that's the best kind of documentaries.
That's kind of documentary. And I think that's, you know, we see more and more of that. I mean, you know, it's easy to be cynical. Oh, the modern age. I mean, kids don't know how good they have it. I walked through 10 miles of snow to go to school. I don't believe any of that bullshit. I mean, the fact is, we live in the best time humanity's ever existed. I understand global warming, war in Ukraine, all the crazy shit that's going on. But for the most part, humanity is at a level we've never been at before, despite all of our problems. And there are myriad problems, yes. But it's pretty great. And it's a choice. You have to make a choice to seek out this information. You know, it's all out there. There's so much out there. And because of our computer technology, we can find out all this shit. I mean, it's amazing. And documentaries are one of these ways that I think there are more people watching documentaries than ever before in human history. Ever before. Documentaries are a great, like look at how many documentaries Netflix has. With all the people talking about their stock price and all this, Netflix is not going anywhere. There's plenty of content on Netflix. They're still making great content. The fact that their stock price plunged, how do you pronounce Schadenfreude? How do you pronounce that in German? Schadenfreude. There's a lot of that going on in the United States,
totally,
all the time. And, you know, Netflix stock price plummeted. They're still delivering the goods, and they're trying to appease everybody, figuring out like we haven't changed. We're doing exactly what we've been doing. And now you're all mad at us. Like, I don't know what the fact is. And this idea that, look, their content, foreign content, Money Heist.
Yeah.
You know, now they're doing Money Heist Korea. They're doing all the fact that they've got RRR on, the fact that we're getting world cinema on Netflix. Don't count Netflix down. because they might spend $200 million on a movie, probably stupid. And I know they want to get the Oscar, and Apple smoked them with Coda. So I get it. But really, we live in a pretty great time. And yet it's in everyone's best interests to keep us on edge, keep us angry, keep us scared, fearful. And I'm like, you know what? It pretty much fucking rocks right now. If you're a fan of this stuff, I mean, and you need to choose to be happy. Always look on the bright side of life. If you're a Monty Python fan. So I don't even know what the question is. I've gone off on a tirade, but so I would say
about the documentaries, Ross.
Documentaries, always good. Bringing Up Baby, isn't it great when you learn about a movie, you learn about Howard Hawks, and look, let me say this: the Offer, the documentary, about
the Godfather,
the docudrama. Half of it's completely ridiculously fabricated. It doesn't matter. But as they've moved, the reality and the show have met up. I'm a huge, obviously, The Godfather is one of my favorite movies. That show is wildly entertaining. I love it. Juno Temple is great. Miles Teller is amazing as Al Ruddy, even though Al Ruddy apparently can solve any problem ever, no matter what it is. But nothing is better than Matthew Good as Bob Evans. He is so good. If somebody, you know what, I've heard that it's not doing well. It's not doing well in the ratings because but if somebody did, if I had $1 billion, if I'd like won the lottery, if I had $1 billion, I would greenlight in my own mind. I would make a show, Robert Evans, the kid stays in the picture, about Bob Evans' entire tenure at Paramount. I would hire Matthew Good and I would do that show because he is so fucking good as Robert Evans. It's amazing.
Nice.
That's a great documentary series.
Awesome.
It's fake, but whatever. It's fine. Don't care.
The Friday Night is back with a second labor. Please bring in Charles Band. Robert, bring on Charles Band. From my previous emails, I'm a big fan of Charles Band and Full Moon Productions. The home to Trancers and Dollman with Tim Thomason, Puppet Masters, Subspecies, Seduction Cinemas for adults, and Moonbeam Studios, movies for children. In the 90s, I would wait patiently each month at my local Hollywood and Blockbuster for the current Full Moon release. Before special features on DVDs, you had Charles Band providing behind-the-scenes features of the movie, upcoming movies, and trailers for other movies. Could this be your 96 show? Unfortunately, we are already in it, and I don't know if how much contact Rob has to Charles Band.
So for those of you who don't know, I worked Charles Band. He started one of the very first home video companies, Meta, that later became Media Home Entertainment. Wizard Video was Charles Band's, and he produced like Reanimator, and he's been around for 40 years making low budget exploitation cinema. I like Charles Band. There was a character based on him in my movie Free Enterprise. I could probably get him to come on the show. I think that would be a great show, or maybe even do it as a Robservations. Yeah. But Let's Get Physical Media. He was one of the very first pioneers in the physical media marketplace. So I think it's a great idea. I like that idea. I will look into that. By the way, Tom Jr. Jackson says, Rob, good to see you and hear that Elizabeth is doing better. And as for Dieter, nice to see he's climbed out of the dumpster for the Let's Get Physical Media episode 69, erotic edition. It is the erotic edition, 69. It's Top Gun week. And when you're dealing with 69, everything is inverted. A Norwegian Kryptonian who's been a member of the channel for 14 months says Top Gun made 89 million this weekend. That's only a 30% drop. But was it inverted? Was it 69? Vegas Robocop says great time for making art. Robo art. Well, Vegas Robocop,
as you always do.
What can you say? I mean, my God. Chris C says, speaking of Flash Gordon, did you get your Big Chief 6-scale figures yet? No, they're in my pile of loot at Big Bad Toy Store. I need to get them. I need to pay that off and have them sent to me now, because although I have to say, The Ming is pretty cool. I'm a little disappointed with the Flash Gordon figure, but I'm going to get him. But I'm a little disappointed. Just
yeah. Perhaps it will be better. Have you seen the figure live, Rob? Or sometimes when you see the figure live, it's
I haven't. Yes, and I agree with you. I have not seen it live. Maybe it's better.
Perhaps live there will be a little bit different perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
Are we caught up on the super chats?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Next letter comes from Zachary Vanden Birch. I hope I said it correctly. I am just a fan of the show, but also have a question about physical media. Hello, Rob and Dieter. I'm a fan of the show and also wanted to say thank you for opening my mind of lots of physical media that I needed to get as a huge movie buff. Recently, I have finally bought movies like Altered States, The Verdict, and even the Steelbook edition of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I also wanted to ask a question. I was wondering what your thoughts are on why certain movies today don't get 4K releases and only get Blu-ray or even just DVD versions. Thanks again for everything you guys do. Long live physical media. Well, as long as it possibly can. That's a tough question. Why releases sometimes don't get a 4K release? It was strangely that X didn't get a 4K release in the States.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it costs money. I mean, the conventional wisdom is if you're going to do a 4K release, you have to take the negative and transfer it at 4K, and which means you have to have somebody do it, and the negative has to be cleaned, and it takes about $100,000. It can be a little cheaper, but let's just call it $100,000. It's $100,000 just to scan the negative or the print or whatever, just to scan it. And then you have to go in and digitally remove any things. And if you really want to do it right, I mean, to be done right, it's labor intensive and expensive. And the real question is, will that 4K, money, how will they get that money back? Now, I think my philosophy is all movies right now, every movie should be rescanned at 4K, especially movies that were shot on film, photochemical films. So films, but because they look better, you need people that know what they're doing. And also if you can get the people somebody involved, there's too many people right now that are not good. I mean, it's not that they're not good. There's an aesthetic that is not in line with the original versions of the films. Like in terms of, there's something called nits in terms of brightness and darkness levels. And there's a lot of people making creative choices now to be quick and easy that they do not serve the film well. And so that's why sometimes 4K transfers are not as good as they should be. But I think all movies should be transferred to 4K. The question is, who has the money and the will? Blu-ray is good enough. And I think I think everything should be transferred to 4K. I mean, I would do it even higher at 6 or 8K and then down convert for 4K, because 4K is basically where physical media and streaming will go to die. Because when you add, say, 6 or 8K, you're making the actual size of those files much bigger, and that has to be pushed through a pipeline that we just, even right now, the fact that we're getting the 4K Dolby Vision, I mean, the stuff that we're getting on streaming, even though the audio sometimes is horribly compressed, and if you have a good sound system, you can tell. There's nothing worse than hearing horribly compressed audio, and you're like, come on, man, really? You had one job? Really bad.
Exactly.
I mean, it drives me crazy. It's like, fuck off, man. Why'd you do that? But it costs money. And the thing is, a lot of people sit there and go, well, unfortunately, there's so many obscure things, like God bless Criterion, but how many people are going to buy this in 4K? How many people that are alive today? How many people that are watching the show right now? Let me ask you a question. All of you, be honest. Have you seen or even heard of Double Indemnity? And this is not, I'm not judging you.
I've only heard it through Elisa views, Rob.
Yeah. Yes. And I that's the thing, because pop culture has a half-life of 20 years. We're in 2022. I mean, think about it. If you were born in 2002, you are 20 today. or 20 this year. And there's no reason you would even know about this movie because it's made in the 40s. So 20, let's go back to 2002. Let's go 20 years before that. That's 1982. Do you know what came out in 82 this past weekend? Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, Conan, Road Warrior, Tron, E.T., Blade Runner, John Carpenter's The Thing. That was 40 years ago this month. Let's go back 20 years before that. Let's go back to 62. What came out in 62?
You have to help me out, Rob.
I don't off the top of my head, I'd have to look.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go back 40 years or 20 years before that to 42. And even I, you know, my encyclopedic knowledge of cinema, how far back does it go? I would look, I could say, oh, I've seen this movie. I don't remember, you know, what release dates there were. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, that's life. You know, the human life expectancy, let's say we're going to live 80 years. That means we only get 4 pop culture moments in our lives, 2020, 2024. So in your lifespan, this is what's important to you, the last 20 years. 20 years before that, kind of important to you. 20 years before that, maybe. And then those last 20 years, who gives a fuck? And I think that's where we're at. And the question is, thank God we have Double Indemnity in 4K because that's such a classic. They're like, well, people will be watching it forever. It'll be a historical artifact, whatever. But I guarantee you, if you asked 90, I would even go so far as to say 95% of the people maybe watching this channel, the percentage would be higher. But how many people have even heard of Double Indemnity? And beyond that, how many people even know that film noir is a genre? And if they heard film noir as a genre, they might think, well, noir means black. Does that mean it's a movie that has lots of black people in it? Like, there are people that don't know, you know. And then I talk about my love of blaxploitation movies from the 70s. Like, blaxploitation, Rob, you're a racist. I'm like, well, no, that's a recognized genre film. And God bless Fred Williamson and God bless Richard Roundtree. I mean, come on now. God bless Pam Grier. Yeah. And then they would, I've never heard of those people. I'm like, I know, but you're telling me I'm a racist because I used black. By the way, that actually happened to me. I used the word blaxploitation on a show and I got branded in many times. I've been branded a racist. I'm like, have you seen any of those movies? I mean, come on. and like who doesn't love, like when I went and saw Original Gangsters, Larry Cohen coming back and bringing Fred Williamson on the, as his Learjet pulls up and the thing, oh, come on, he's smoking his cigar. I'm like, dude, come on. That was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Me and the 5 people in the theater, we were cheering.
Clapping.
So what letters next?
What's letters next? Okay. From David C. 3,000 years of thank yous. Dear Rob and Dieter, I would just like to say thanks for inspiring me to get more into physical media. I've been watching the show for a few months after discovering the PGS channel on the Campia show. I didn't really have much of a collection when I started watching, but I love both of your personalities and the show is a highlight of my Sundays. DVDs and Blu-rays have always been a part of my life, but as my family moved over to streaming, I started looking like the weirdo when I started buying discs again. I'll admit, someone should probably take away my credit card, mine too.
God bless you.
But I do not regret any of the purchases I've made and have discovered older movies or ones I missed in theaters from the past decade. While I know you can't get anything online, I prefer walking into a physical store to browse the shelves to find the hidden gems I may have missed the weeks before. It might also be that I have a lot more time on my hands now as a young person, but the feeling of walking up to the register with a few titles cannot be beat. As I approach my 20th birthday next week from writing this, I'm excited to see where my collection and tastes grow in the God willing many years to come. Hence the title. I would also like to say that my most anticipated movie this year is George Miller's latest, 3,000 Years of Longing. I loved Fury Road, which I saw for the first time recently, and I immediately started looking around for his other films. Finally, I would just like to extend my thanks again for all you guys do. This is by far my favorite show on YouTube. Sincerely, David C. Cover me in oil, Rob. Cover me in oil.
David, right here, sir. I mean,
Cover
first
me
of
in
all,
oil.
you know, if we can inspire the younger generation the way you so eloquently told us you were inspired,
And we have only those 20 years by considering him with the
I know that, but the fact that, you know, the idea that 3,000 Years of Longing, the new George Miller movie, where the beautiful Idris Elba plays a genie, and I mean, Tilda Swinton. The movie didn't get the greatest notices out of Cannes, but my God, I'm a huge George Miller fan. By the way, as a George Miller fan, do not sleep on the movie Lorenzo's Oil. Lorenzo's Oil is a movie that not a lot of people talk about. They don't remember he even directed it. Fantastic film. Look up Lorenzo's Oil. I don't even think it did get released here. I have two different versions of it.
In Germany, it got released too. Didn't you want to get the German one?
I think I didn't. Did you get it for me? You might have got it.
I'm not sure. I
don't remember.
I'm not sure anymore.
I know. But
I remember the title.
You know, these are my favorite kinds of letters because, you know, the whole point of this show is to be enthusiastic and share what we love.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say you're a trash panda, I say it with love. I mean, and I know, because look, I mean, even though we might make fun of these things, I mean, people spend a lot of time making these movies. Scott Adkins is a star. You know,
in his genre word, of course, Rob.
Absolutely. And I might not have.
I really can recommend that you get one shot from him. One shot.
Okay.
Well, sometimes you will find the time to watch his Avengement.
Well, I was just filing that the other day, and I'm going to watch it. Well, now here's a great thing. Now that the Robservatory has a full-on Dolby Atmos surround sound system in here, I can watch whatever. I'm just going to throw in discs all the time.
Even Rob, if I don't think you should start with Avengement, because would considering Avengement's one of his best, and then it can only go down from there.
It's okay. It's okay. It's you know,
just that you let you know, if you watch Avengement, don't expect every movie from Scott be at this level.
No, look, man, I'm a huge James Glickenhaus fan, and like by the way, I thought his movie The Soldier with Ken Wall was lost. Kino Lorber put it out on Blu-ray, which is awesome.
It is out in Germany too, Rob.
The Soldier. Is there a media book?
No, it's kind of a not special edition considering features, but it is some kind of extra packaging, I believe. I remember it's out here. It is out here.
It's awesome.
Ken Wall.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Ken Wall, and there's a great James Glickenhaus commentary. Like, I'm a huge The Exterminator, Shakedown, The Soldier, McBain with Christopher Walken. I'm a huge James Glickenhaus fan. His movies are not. They're an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I would sit there and go,
you put it diplomatically, Rob.
It's very funny. I'll tell you, it's so funny. So there was a girl in the early 90s. I met this girl. Her name was Trisha, and I was madly in love with her. And I think the first movie I took her to.
Let it out, Rob. Let it out.
The first movie I took her to was like McBain, which was James Glickenhaus. And it was playing at the National Theater in Westwood, which is this gigantic movie theater. And it was Christopher Walken, so there's a level of respectability there. And they shot it in like South Africa and used like the entire South African army. That was probably not the best movie to take a girl to for your first date. Probably not. I mean, she didn't really quite understand like what the hell was that.
You played with fair cards immediately, Rob.
Yeah, I would say the worst movie I ever took a girl to, and this was. I would implore our young charge, our 20-year-old new fan. Let me just say that when you're going to take a significant other, whether you're black, white, straight, gay, I don't care how you identify across the 28 known galaxies. Always be mindful of the person that you're taking to the movie. It should be about them. Try and take them to something you think they would like. Don't take them to something you want to see. Take them to something you think they would like. Because I took a date to Penelope Spheeris's serial killer movie, The Boys Next Door, with Maxwell Caulfield and Charlie Sheen. And let me just say, that was not a good move. Nope. And my
not
delight,
every experience is top shelf.
my delight at certain scenes in that movie did not serve me well in the long run. So always remember, here's a pro tip from your Uncle Bob right now. When you're going to take perhaps somebody new, a new paramour, maybe somebody you think you have a future with, make sure you take them to the movie that they would want to see, not the movie you would want to see. Just a pro tip.
So we all can be happy that Rob didn't start his connection with Elizabeth with Crash.
No, we bonded on the Amélie tip. As a matter of fact, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who directed Amélie, we went and met him. There was a screening. And we as a matter of fact, I have to get the poster framed. So we went out and got an original French Amélie poster. And Elizabeth, because I don't speak French, there's everybody who's swarming him. I'm like, go down there and speak French. Go speak French. And she got the poster signed by him. And it's a giant French poster. And I just found it, and I'm going to get it framed, and we're going to put it above our bed.
Awesome. So, David C., thank you for your nice letter. A shorter one from Vincent from France. Hi, Rob. Guten Tag, Dieter. Arrow's director of content, Frank Simoni, has announced this week that he is leaving Arrow to create films Redlands with the help of historian Kat Ellinger. This is good news. The market is still viable enough for a new label to be created in the UK. Could he be a guest on the show? I have no idea. All the best to you, Vincent. I have no idea, Vincent, if he can be a guest or on the show if he wants to.
Wow. I mean, I would love that. That would be really interesting. Wow. That's very, very interesting. I don't know what to say about that, but on one hand, that's distressing, but awesome at the same time. Did he say their new label is called Redlands?
Wait, just check, Rob. Redlands, yes, Redlands.
REDLA.
RDLANCCE, Redlands.
Oh, Redlands. Okay, because I live in Redlands. Redlands.
Not Redlands, with
yeah.
Like.
Well, look, I mean, we could ask people to come on the show. I mean, we can get George Feltenstein on the show, and he's Warner Archive, and he's a heavy hitter. He's been around the industry for 30 years. Basically, who could deny Dieter Bastian? I just have to call someone up and go, yo, do you want to come on the show with me and, of course, Dieter
Bastian? German douchey douche.
He will rock you like a hurricane. No, I'm not going to tell people you're a douchey douche, nor do I tell people that you're the trash panda. I tell people that your palate, your cinematic palette, is one of the most refined on planet Earth. That's what I tell people.
I'm trying to do the Chris Gore thing, the movie diet. Watch the MCU blockbuster, watch a trash movie, watch an art house movie. I've tried to skip through all. Watch a Bollywood movie like
that's the way to go.
I'm trying to get.
No, it's a Tollywood movie. It's not a Bollywood movie. It's
Tollywood. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think. Come on, man, get it right, bro. By the way, Jordan Saylor says, or is it? You know what? Hang
Jordan
on.
Saylor.
It is Saylor. I'm saying it right.
Saylor.
Didn't Charles Band make the great Trancers series with Jack Death? Love those movies. Tim Thomerson, yes. And by the way, I was on the set of Trancers 2, and at the after party, I played pool with Helen Hunt.
Nice.
Just saying, how about that for a name drop? Bang. There you go. Let's see. We got other people. Ron C., our boy Ron C. says, hello, Rob and Dieter. Other than The Godfather, what 3 Robert Evans studio exec films would you like in a 4K box set? Well, Chinatown would be one of them. And I have to say, probably William Friedkin's Jade, even though it's not good, but it's William Friedkin. Also, what's the longest time in a Blockbuster store looking for one movie to rent? For me, it was 2.5 hours. Did you ever go to Blockbuster? Did you have Blockbuster Video?
we had other video stores, Rob, but the longest time I spent in a video store waiting for something. That's too long ago.
Well, I would say
anything.
I worked in video stores from 1980 to 1988. Pre-Blockbuster, it didn't exist. So I never spent time. I would get all the first movies before anyone and bring them home and copy them. So I never spent a lot of time. I've never personally rented. By the time 1988 rolled around, I only bought things. I never rented tapes. I think I rented them professionally for other people, like for jobs or something, but I didn't rent tapes. But yeah, so Chinatown I want in 4K. Godfather's out in 4K. I don't need Love Story, but maybe Jade. Now here's one. The Robo producer said, Rob, what is your favorite Star Trek episode ever? Mine still happens to be the TNG episode Conspiracy. Well, Robo producer, that's the penultimate episode of the first season of Next Generation, which is a pretty goofy episode, but the first half of that is one of the most intriguing. It's a great episode of TNG. It's got the little creatures that go into your.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can't even answer that. What's your favorite Star Trek episode ever?
Too much to count.
I mean, there's hundreds of them, and you'd have to ask me which series, and I'd have to give you a top 5. But my favorite episodes are always from TOS, and just off the top of my head, Balance of Terror, The Immunity Syndrome, City on the Edge of Forever, Doomsday Machine, Mirror. Yeah. So
there you have your top 5.
Yeah, I mean it's tough.
Tough question.
It's a tough one. James Wheeler says, hello, Rob and Dieter. On Friday, I just received my Blu-rays of Mulholland Drive and Shogun.
Nice.
I'm also on my way to watch Crimes of the Future. Well, James, first of all, Shogun is one of my favorite television. Shogun and Winds of War are my favorite miniseries of all time. Shogun is awesome. It's a great disc. Mulholland Drive is a great. Did you get a 4K? Check that out. So I'm glad you did that. So that's amazing. Jordan Saylor comes back and says, I love the old Johnny Quest Saturday morning show. I just got it on Blu-ray and it's still awesome. Hope they don't make a remake of it. It would be truly awful. Well, Jordan, I'll tell you something that not a lot of people remember. Johnny Quest, the animated Johnny Quest, was actually originally aired in prime time. It was not a Saturday morning cartoon. Along with the Flintstones, it was aired in prime time at night. So nice. I love Johnny Quest. They've been trying to make a feature version of it. My friend Adrian Iscaria is going to be producing that if it ever gets made. So that's pretty cool. So most excellent. So sorry, Dieter, that we're caught up there. No. Do you have more letters?
Yeah, I have 2 more letters, Rob, but I think we switch it a little bit up. I show some more stuff
before we get to stuff, dude.
To the last 2 letters, because we have a lot of letters this week. The first one up, perhaps you can help me out. I bought this one, Gwendoline.
The Perils of Gwendolyn in the Land of the Yik Yak. Is that the one with Tawny Kitaen?
Yeah, Rob. Yeah, in 4K, Rob.
No,
in 4K, Rob.
Are you kidding me?
No, Rob.
Dude. Is that German?
That's a German media.
You have to get me that. You have to get me that. How do I get it?
It comes with different cover variations. So you will have to see what cover you will like, Rob. I decided to get this one.
In that movie, it was released. The Perils of Gwendolyn in the Land of the Yik Yak. Oh my God!
Drawings in it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's gotten released.
Have you never seen that before?
No, Rob. I don't think so.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Okay, Rob. In 4K and as the standard Blu-ray on it.
Wow.
Okay. Gwendoline. With different
I cannot
covers.
believe The Perils of Gwendolyn in the Land of the Yik Yak is out in 4K, but The Abyss and True Lies are not.
What can you do? What can you do? The next one, I told Rob before we started the show, I did get wrongly. I didn't order it, but sometimes I say, okay, come. I keep it because we talked about RRR, good romance movie, good feel movie, Rob. And we talked a little bit about this movie often. A little bit of a new media book from our favorite, French movies.
Is that in
4K? No, Rob. Just a newer media book version of the movie. And Rob, can you tell our audience a little bit about MORBIUS without giving anything away? The movie will stay with you. Let's just say that.
Okay.
MORBIUS.
I am
French horror movie.
I am of the opinion that this movie is a masterpiece. Now I have to tell you. So I was reading.
That's the reason, Rob, why I said another copy.
Dude, how do I get this? I gotta get this. I come on, man. That's amazing.
But like I said, I found for people who doesn't know MORBIUS, this cover a little bit too spoiler.
Boy, yeah, I don't know why they did that. You got to get me that.
It's around.
Where do I order it from? I need it. I got to have that.
There are this like with Gwendoline, there are different covers to choose from. This one I got.
I have to say, so Martyrs was covered in Fangoria, and I read all these interviews with the director. And I think
it couldn't live up to that.
Well, I thought I was a pretty astute viewer. And now I had read about it and people had told me it was amazing and all this stuff. But I'm like, I'd read these interviews. I'm like, what is this movie about?
You get
like, I didn't know. I would read these articles. I'm like, I have no idea what this movie is. And I think I want to say the first time I saw it, I want to say Miramax Extreme released it on DVD and I brought it home. And I don't know why I had the French.
Sorry to know. I can't remember a DVD of the movie. I think it came out. Was it still DVD?
Yeah, I want to say Miramax Extreme released that, or maybe I'm thinking Inside.
Because you're right. There was Miramax Extreme.
To me, the greatest horror double feature in the world is Martyrs and Inside. So when I get this movie, I put it on and I'm like, I'm very curious. I'm like, I have no idea what this movie's about. I've read articles, I've read interviews with the director, and this movie, I have to say, and by the way, whenever I talk this way, I feel like I'm elevating people's expectations.
Not when it comes to MORBIUS.
You're watching it, the opening scene. And then it moves on, and you watch.
Where do we go?
This movie pulls the rug out from under you numerous times,
subverting our expectations.
Oh my God! I mean, I can't even. By the way, the American remake of this movie is embarrassing. It's just it can't. Horrific. Same with Inside. Terrible. They remake this film though. This is one of the when it was over. I wouldn't say it was fun. I think it was an ordeal. It was like getting your face punched in. I mean, this movie's a gut punch over and over again.
It stays with you. It stays
at the end of the movie, though. At the end of the movie, I was like, this is a masterpiece. And I felt it kind of uplifting because how can I explain this?
Without giving it away.
Because it says there is more in the universe. There's more out there. It is. I mean, I have to say. By the way, this movie's not for everybody.
No, definitely
not for everybody. And it is not pleasant to watch. I mean, I thought I had a great time watching it because it blew me away, but I could not sit there. If you like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th or whatever, this is a dangerous movie. It is philosophical. It is contemplative. It is evil.
Especially, Rob, when people started watching the think, what is he talking about? Because of the way the movie will go on at some point, you know.
There are multiple times in this movie where I honestly could not believe what I was watching. I mean, and even plot wise, things would happen. There were two different things in this movie. The plot surprised the hell out of me. Like I'm watching this going, I'm with you. I'm like, what the fuck? And then there was something, the plot, I get the plot now, but then it would go on, and then they would get to a place, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like multiple times on multiple times. This movie, and I don't mean to oversell it.
What the fuck in the best way?
In the best way. But this movie is disturbing. It is thought-provoking, and there's nothing like it. And I don't mean to oversell it.
That's why I said, Rob, come, I keep another copy of it.
Oh my God, dude. Martyrs. And by the way, I would say this. I've always told people that if you want to watch, in my mind, the great French language horror double feature, Martyrs is the first. You watch Martyrs first, and it will leave you a shattered wreck of a human being. But then you follow it up with Inside, which is a great fun time at the movies. So Martyrs and Inside, trust your Uncle Bob. There's your double feature. But watch Martyrs and you want to like end your life, and then watch Inside, which
I told you I did get this title wrong, but I totally it was for me understandable why this mistake would happen, Rob. You mentioned Inside, Rob, but there's one other French movie that fits into that
High
category,
Tension.
you know. This is the three. No, a fourth one, Rob. Fourth one. Do you get to it? This is, of course, Frontiers.
Oh, yep.
Same. This was actually the one that I wanted to get, Rob. So I could totally understand why they did a little mistake. Two great French horror movies, and I had to get Frontiers. Again,
of course,
it's not for K. It's not for K, Rob.
I know why you needed it. I get it.
Media book, and it's would be a nice double feature with Morbius 2. Considering there's always the saying of final girls in movies, but considering what this girl is going through, the other final girls are just doing a walk in the park, I would say. Frontiers was the actually one that I wanted to get instead of Morbius, but these two make a great double bill.
It's true.
The next one, Rob, from one of our nice companies from the UK, 88 Films, Rob. I got a new edition of one of yours, Number Stumper.
Oh, what a great movie that is. Wow, look at that. A German getting a Nazi movie.
So we have, as always, with 88.
Well, wait, that's a great. First of all, 88 films. 88 films is we don't talk about 88 films enough. 88 films is a great.
Love for robotics.
I mean, the robotics disc. I mean, they specialize in martial arts movies. Look at Russell Crowe being Russell Crowe in the most Russell Crowe way possible. Romper Stomper is great. Great film. Good on 88 films. And by the way, if you don't have 88 films version of the Super Inframan, I don't know what to tell you. Come on, man.
Little party going on here.
Look at that.
Wrong way.
Oh, yeah. Look at that Russell Crowe. Come on now.
Romper Stomper. And it comes,
Romper Stomper is where it's at.
A little.
Now's the time when we dance, Dita. Don't touch my monkey.
And it comes, of course, with a booklet about the movie 2.
You gotta love it.
And I believe, Rob, let me just check. It is a remastered HD transfer at
That's good.
ITV Studios. So really looking forward to it. So Romper Stomper.
By the way, Danzig 1979 says, did you buy Doctor Strange, the 1978 TV movie from Shout Factory? I did not. I didn't know it was out. I got to look.
Neither.
I'll go get that shit. Come on now.
And the last one before I later get to the special edition, I watched it on Friday. A nice Korean action thriller called Special Delivery.
Well, I want to meet that girl. Look at that cover, man. Come on, that is amazing.
Actually, Rob, you know that girl. This is the girl who played in Parasite, the lead.
Oh,
you know.
Look, I get in trouble talking about Lalisa from Blackpink. I can't. I'm like the dirty old man. It's really bad. It's bad. I can't opine over Korean girls. I can't do it.
So this is
not a good look. I'll get canceled.
I would say the Korean version, not the Korean version, but the Korean. Little bit of transporter-like,
Well, that's cool.
She does do special deliveries, but sometimes it's human cargo that she has to deliver, Oh. And luckily, Rob, we were both not a fan of Peninsula, considering the CGI car chases.
Yeah, man, I was bummed out.
Yeah, you have some CGI help here too, but there's a lot of practical driving too in this movie. So this is a nice action thriller. Totally had a nice time with this special delivery. This was my last normal release that I got, and I will save the special edition, do a little bit unboxing for later, and get to the last two letters. And I was wrong, Rob. Before the show, I said there is no letter from Omar. There is a letter from Omar.
Okay, well, hang on. I'm gonna throw it to you for a second. You take it over, man.
Okay. So Omar sends in a letter, and he says, Rocky 3 turns 40. Hi, Rob, and guten Abend, Dieter. If you have this movie in your physical media collection, you must show us and give us a review of the film. Another movie anniversary is upon us. May 28, 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the Sylvester Stallone movie Rocky 3, which came out on May 28, 1982. The film brought back the same cast from previous films, but also introduced us to Mr. T as the new villain, Clubber Lang. The movie was a major success, joining the top 10 highest grossing films of 1982. I know Rob mentioned he has a fondness of Rocky 3, but we don't know how Dieter feels about it. If you have the movie in your home media collection, you both must show us and give your quick reviews. Thanks and live long and prosper, Omar. Problem, Omar? I get the letters really, let's say, an hour or two before the show. I didn't have time to go through the letters, and I would really have to check where I have the Blu-ray of Rocky 3. And I have to be honest, I can't really tell you if I have seen Rocky 3 in theaters at 1982. I don't actually remember seeing it in where I watched Rocky 3 for the first time, and then I haven't seen it in a very long time, because of course it's iconic, but for me it's actually Rocky 4 is a little bit more iconic than Rocky 3. But I don't know where I have Rocky 3 on my shelf, and I would have to get the letters a little bit earlier if you want to see this stuff. I will. There's Rob coming back to you. I don't know if you heard it, Rob. What now? What Omar had in store for us? He mentioned the anniversary of Rocky 3.
Oh, which is of course this year.
And he wants to know your takes on the movie, your quick review of Rocky 3, because he said, I know Rob mentioned he has a fondness of Rocky 3. What is that fondness memory of it?
Well, I have to say that I think the first 3 movies of the Rocky franchise it's a perfect trilogy. Rocky 3 is Return of the Jedi. Without the Ewoks. I mean, you've got Hulk Hogan, you've got Clubber Lang, Apollo Creed. Hey woman, come on over here and get it from a real man. I mean, Mr. T. Everything about Rocky 3 is designed to entertain. Stallone has never looked better. Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed has never looked better. They're jacked. They look good. They're awesome. The movie is so much fun. And of course, Clubber Lang is Darth fucking Vader. Mr. T was a great, great, great villain. Rocky 3 is wildly entertaining. I mean, again, the summer of 1982 is one of the great summers of all time. In May, we got Conan the Barbarian. We got The Road Warrior. America got The Road Warrior, which is Mad Max 2 in the rest of the world, but here was The Road Warrior. June 4th, which we just passed, Poltergeist, Star Trek 2 on the same day. We got E.T., John Carpenter's A Thing, Blade Runner, Tron. A fantastic year. And also Rocky 3. And it was so entertaining. And, even Rocky 2, it's amazing that here's a Best Picture winner, this underdog from Philadelphia. Rocky spawned sequels. But the sequels are actually, they're shamelessly entertaining. I am not a fan of Rocky 4, though. I thought Rocky 4 it's not great. But Rocky 1, 2, and 3, great trilogy. Great trilogy.
Okay. There you go, Omar. There you go. Our last letter from Doc Sigmir. I hope I said that correctly. Sigmir. In search of the Cisco Kid. Hi, Rob. I love the show, by the way. I was watching a faded episode of the Cisco Kid and remembered as a kid seeing these in the theater as well as later on TV. I started wondering who owns the rights to this series. This is what I found out. CIV created the series and distributed these to TV. Since then, the series has passed to United Artists, then MGM, Sony. I heard George Feldenstein on your Megacast episode mention that Warner Brothers owns the right to the MGM library. Does this include TV series? I was wondering if you or George had info on who or where I might go to find a person to talk with to see if any surviving film elements still exist. I would love to see the same level of restoration done to the Cisco Kid that was finally done to the George Reeves Superman. Between 1950 and 1956, there were 156.5-hour episodes of the Cisco Kid, all the color, but the film stock is so old and faded, it really needs a major infusion, laugh out loud. With all the recent studio mega shuffling that's been going on, there sure seems to be much smoke to know. Can you help me? Rob, help?
Well, I think that's
many thanks. Todd, I have no idea from this Cisco Kid.
I don't know. I mean, we talked earlier about how Warner Archive is releasing the Cisco Kid, the movie with Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford. I don't know, but eventually all of these shows are going to find their way to either home video or streaming. But again, the thing about these old shows is they were all shot on negative. So it costs a lot of money to transfer the shows. And look, eventually these things will earn out. They like we're never going to have the human eye can basically see it 4K a little bit more, but so 4K is where everything is going to finally wind up. All of 20th century entertainment, movies, television will eventually be transferred to 4K to put up on streaming service because they're going to have to, and they're going to need those artifacts. And I do think that there's going to come a time where our population, especially young people, unfortunately, younger people do not have the excellence of programming that we got. There's a lot of great TV and stuff, but those transcendent moments in the theater, Infinity War and Endgame, John Wick, Top Gun, Maverick will provide those things. But we used to get a lot more magic in the cinema because it wasn't just calculated IP that was being recycled, that was being delivered. So what's going to happen is, and what's happening already is, you have a lot of younger people. Look at all the reaction videos on YouTube. Kids are going back and they're mining what was big in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. They want to know, because those things, there's no one is making music now that's going to be listened to in 25 years. They're just not. But you hear classic rock, you hear Black Dog from Zeppelin, you hear Satisfaction, you hear that kind of a guitar riff that gets you. Even rap music, there's a lot of great hip hop and rap that's timeless, but a lot of that's sampled and will it exist in 22, 25, 30, 40 years? I don't know. But I do know that all of these old shows will eventually be recycled because they exist. It's content that you can just put up and somebody will watch it. the long tail, people will watch it forever. And so eventually all of this stuff will get archived. So hopefully the Cisco kid. I mean, the Frisco kid's what's being put out, not the Cisco kid. So it's a different thing. But maybe it will. The Robo producer says, I just watched Tenet last night with my fiance. Okay. She'd never seen it. I freaking love that movie. Now I see it's available in 4K. Take my money, bro. Tenet came out in 4K. Come on.
With shifting IMAX ratios.
Yeah, again, Christopher Nolan. Now I have to show you something. I have something to show.
Okay.
So now that I'm moving into the Raw Observatory, there's actual more room above me and around me. You know, there are things like our Laserdisc collection. We have Laserdiscs. I have a Laserdisc player, you know, but why would I ever watch my Laserdiscs? NTSC 480. Why would you watch them? It's cool to have them. So they're truly artifacts, and all of my discs now, all the discs that I have on Laserdisc that I kept are cool. I keep them for whatever reason. But they can be art. And you know how you can get frames for like LPs for records?
Nice, Rob. Nice.
Dude, look at this. So awesome. This is my Pioneer special edition of Basic Instinct that has an hour-long documentary with Sharon Stone, Michael Douglas, and Paul Verhoeven that has never appeared anywhere. Now, first of all, this artwork is interesting. So
totally. Never see. I've seen it just here on our show, Rob. This was the first time where I've seen this.
So I was looking around for, you know, like Restoration Hardware used to have frames. I was looking for frames. I found these on Amazon. I want to say, I don't know if they're like $27 or whatever. But what's awesome about these is, first of all, they come with the hardware. They come with a hanger, you know, on the back there. And look at this. They're magnetic.
That's great. That's great.
So you just buy them. You slide your disc in, slide it in, close it, hanging on the wall.
There you go.
And so all of my laser discs, I don't watch them, but this documentary one day I have to rip and put it on YouTube because it's never been seen again. So, you know, and it was funny because I started going around and looking at which one of my laser discs would I, and I look at this and I'm like, this just changes them into something else. And what's great is they can go above here anywhere, you know, and like this was my very first. This was my first Japanese Laserdisc of Dawn of the Dead. You know, and this is a double disc special edition. You can take it off the wall and look at that. Come on. And I'm taking all my favorite Laserdiscs that meant something to me. Aren't these great? These look great.
Totally.
I mean, it's plexiglass, so it's not going to break if it falls, if there's an earthquake.
Just great display for Laserdiscs.
Yeah, really cool. So I got those, repurposing my Laserdisc because I'm like, I still have like 100. I haven't looked at my Laserdisc. I haven't looked at them in 20 years. Like, why would I? Yeah. Why would I ever? All of my lasers, but I've got those great covers, you know, and why not?
Especially this one. Never seen it.
Yep. 100%.
Only here on our show, I've seen it.
That's right. Yeah, because no one, you know, no one has it. I mean, people are like, wait, what? So what is your special edition, Dieter?
Are we caught up on Super Chats? I thought there's some from Terry.
Oh, yeah. Look at Terry fires in a Super Chat. Terrier says, Cronenberg is nice. I will enter his new movie naked, covered in butter, peanut butter and jelly, and paper towels. I'll crash into a non-crash site. Vroom. Crom. Well, Terrier, you know what? You might have been drinking, I think. Are you drinking?
Could be, bro.
But if you're not drinking, more power to you, because you know what? If you're going to go enter his new movie naked, covered in butter and PB&J and paper towels, I'll go with you. I will also enter that room with you naked. I'll be slathered in butter, peanut butter, and jelly, and wrap myself in paper towels in solidarity with you, sir. one of my favorite people in the world. Certainly one of my favorite Norwegians in the world. I mean, I only know you and Andre, so and I've known you, so you're my number one favorite Norwegian.
Okay, should I get to the special edition, Rob?
Yes.
A little bit unboxing here. I know what's in it, but I haven't opened it.
Ooh.
It's packaged nicely, as I know from the company that I got it from. And I got this week even an email from the company, which I thought was really great, where they just said one of their releases will be delayed because, Rob, which is good, because they will release it when it's good enough, not before they are satisfied with it. And that's the way to go before we do another exchange program, you know. So let me just see. It's packaged again really nicely. And I've seen, I think, on the Let's Get Physical Media Facebook page, some already got in Rob. Oh, it's a thick one.
That's what she said.
I can get it out this way.
You're teasing me. Oh, it's the 69th show.
Right from second side.
Look at that, dude.
And I got an email, to which will be a little bit delayed because they're working with Robert Eggers to really get the transfer like he wants it.
Yeah,
and that's a great email to get, because we don't want to exchange something.
No.
Delay the stuff, and we will gladly wait and get the version we all been waiting for.
Bruh,
so let's
look at that up. Box, and now that is what I'm talking about.
Exactly. And they always package the stuff really good. Second side, I didn't order the second side stuff. I switched over to ordering from them, from their store itself.
Oh yeah, dude, you got a second side. Although, you know, when they ship to America,
the stuff really good, not as Amazon just put it in a paper bag.
Yeah.
If we get lucky, it will get through.
No, the second site, you know, my beloved second site, because of Dawn of the Dead, they're the greatest home video company of all time. Look at that, bro.
Just see.
Look at how tasty that looks. Hang on, let me let's get in. Let's go in for a close up. What
we get with the drive set. So we have just a little. Look, let me just see.
That's the novel that the movie's based on.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. I was just thinking this is not the usual booklet. Exactly, Rob. So the novel.
Look at that.
Rob told us. But then, Jesus. This is quite a book. Look at how thick this book is. So it's really fresh and brand new. I can't really open it to full amount. A little bit of storyboards here.
God bless Second Sight. Can we just give a round of applause? A little golf clap. Thank you, Second Sight. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Then we have here some lobby cards from the movie. So, Rob, if I would have known that this will come out, look at shiny there. I already bought, the German 4K version that came out before this one got announced, and I don't think that the German one already got this new transfer, but I'm not sure about that. And then, of course, we have the Digipack, which comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray for the movie. So my special edition this week, Rob, Drive from Nicholas Weinman.
Yeah, I'm waiting for mine. That's very tasty, man. Very, very tasty. And
perhaps a good point for ending.
Yes, we'll end this show. A good show. We've gone 2.5 hours. I'm sure Omar's like, this is not your longest show, but it could have been.
No. He will be disappointed as always.
I know. What can we do? Well, Dieter, a fine Let's Get Physical Media show. Before I sign off, though, let's see what's coming out next week.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't we? I have to look. I have to find out, and we'll see. So next week, assuming nothing gets delayed, what are some of the things we've got coming out next week? Well, The Northman, of course, we talked about this earlier, comes out in 4K. Lawrence of Arabia, if you didn't buy the Columbia box set, is coming out. Bridge on the River Kwai 4K is coming out, which I have on order. The Contractor, the new Chris Pine movie, is coming out in 4K. Stunt Rock. Come on, you got to get Stunt Rock. The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, a.k.a. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, is coming out. The Fabulous Baker Boys, a movie I love, is coming out.
Yeah. The
Bourne Complete Collection is being re-released, the 20th anniversary. I already have that. Unless they do new transfers, I won't buy that. Coincidentally, She's Having a Baby with Kate Bush's This Woman's Work.
I don't think that the Bourne will be a new transfers, Rob.
No, I don't either. Kino Lorber is putting out Savage Sisters. If you haven't seen Savage Sisters, is coming out. That's coming out. Why not get that? Hey, Tales of Hoffman coming out from Criterion. Is that 4K though? No, it's a 2K Blu-ray. Tales of Hoffman, one of George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead fame, one of his favorite movies. That's coming out, so that's good. So there's good stuff coming out. There's also a new box set of Planet of the Apes, the anniversary edition, but I don't think it's 4K. I'd love to get the Planet of the Apes movies in 4K. What do we have to do to get them? Don't know. Anyway, so there you go. That's what's
a last super chat, Rob, from the Robo producer.
Hang on. The Robo producer says, Rob, there's many different versions of Blade Runner. On the 5-disc version, what's your favorite? I still like the original cut with narration. Robo producer, great minds think alike. In 1982, I went opening day to see Blade Runner. I went to the Cinerama Theater in Seattle, and I went with Mike Schertz and Jolie Von Sewer. And Jolie, because she was a girl, it was rated R, and we were like youngsters, and we made her buy the tickets, and they let her buy the tickets. We went in and saw it. And for me, it might be sacrilege, but like you, what I watched over and over again, what I saw in the theater, what I had on Embassy Home Entertainment, the international cut with more violence, it was the narration.
It was the narration, yeah.
And I cannot watch Blade Runner, even if I watch the final cut, which is great. I love that. I cannot not hear the narration. I hear the narration in my head, even when it's not there. Sushi. That's what my ex-wife called me. Cold fish. They don't advertise for killers in a newspaper. I mean, you can't not hear it. Skin jobs. I mean, come on. I'm not going to say the rest of that line, but you know what I'm saying. You can't not hear it. So even though it's, I mean, the final cut maybe, but I like the narration. I'm sorry, just because that's the way I saw it. What can I do? Don't know.
It's tough to choose. It's tough to choose because the final cut has the great quality considering the 4K disc.
It's true. It's true. Well, Dieter, another great show. Thank you for doing this. We've been on for 2.5 hours. I could just talk with you all day.
But all things must come to an end.
All things must come to an end.
Video under the last super chat. Psst, Rob.
We're still getting the unboxing. Yes, I have the whole box right here. I've only waited. It's taken me 2 months. By the end of today, the Robservatory is going to be in a place like, see how the lighting is very flat here. There's gonna be lots of colors, lots of things. I mean, I got my great lights here. It's great. Like I look lit, but how boring is this? It's all got to create the mood, the colors, the things. It's all happening. It's all happening. Zeppelin's here. Bowie is here. It's all happening. It's almost famous. And now I've got everything I need. And my entire physical media collection will be arranged right here. I got my module cases here. Wait till you see it. The new observatory is
shaping up.
Chef's kiss.
Shaping up. So, on that note, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
What Dieter just said was every single person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to all of you, have a better day and buy more physical media. Right? Wouldn't you agree, Dieter?
Totally, Rob. Totally, Rob.
Oh,
and Rob, get that Xbox fired up and play some Sniper.
Don't worry. It's all the Xbox, the PlayStation 5, the two different VCRs.
Because Rob, I see you on Instagram, getting love from dogs, doing some swimming in the pool, and I'm sweating bullets to stop Operation Kraken in Sniper Elite 5, trying to save the world, and I'm just living my life.
I know.
I could use your help as a co-op player.
Well, then, you know what? I'm going to fire it up. We'll be there. I will be there. It's going to be great. And on that note,
I have one mission left to go. I don't know if Adolf will be there in the last mission.
Well, I'll be there soon.
Because the fictive story of Sniper Elite 5 in the last mission, the Germans are planning to attack America itself.
Oh my God.
With stealth U-boots, Operation Kraken, it's called. Release the Kraken.
I'll release my Kraken, if you know what I'm saying. On that note, next week, episode 70 of Let's Get Physical Media. My God. 70.
Still here.
Still here. All right, sir. Well then.
Goodbye. Thank you in the live chat. See you next week.
I want to thank the moderators, Tom Jr., Jackson, Lord Toft, Justin Tona. Thank you for moderating the show. I want to thank everybody for generously supporting this channel, these super chats, tips, all that thing, becoming members. And we're going to have a members chat next week. I'll be finally combobulated, not discombobulated. And I'm thinking about doing a weekly member chat if you want to be a member to the channel, a weekly member chat. Sometimes I'm going to do a member chat like sitting outside poolside, because how fun would that be? I mean, I know. Like, that's what we're going to do.
Nice change of scenery.
Yeah. Look at Mikey Lito. Brain. What is Brain? Mikey Lito dropping the Spock's brain references right here in the chat. Good for you, Mikey Lito. I appreciate that. I love Mikey Lito. He's one of my favorite imagination connoisseurs. He also has good taste in film. Anyway, on that note, let's say goodbye.
Have a better day.